threshold of a national championship game, but first they have to get by Waterloo, and many making the trip to cheer on their Warriors to see if they can get to the Vanier for the first time. Hi again, everybody, and welcome to the first of our doubleheader of Canadian University football, the Atlantic Bowl. I'm Rod Smith. Later on today, we will head to St. Foy, Quebec for the Churchill Bowl between the defending champs, Saskatchewan, and Laval Rouge et Or. As for these Huskies, this program has certainly been on the rise. St. Mary's was 1-7 in 1997. Blake Nill took over the team last year and then improved to 8-1. Losing their first game, they have not lost since. Joining me as usual, Jamie Bone. What has Blake Nill brought to this program?
I think more than Rod, he knows how to win. They were at St. Francis Xavier in 1996 when they went to the Vanier Cup, and he brought that winning attitude here to St. Mary's.
He's a defensive back, but he's a very good offense. He's kind of well balanced attack and good running back. We love to run the football, but that's well.
What's the most sort of 275 yards rushing in the first passing? What they do with that each with 100 yards here, so they spread it around.
Look at the playoffs. They have rushed 99 times past only 4 passing plays against Western a couple of weeks ago. It's pretty clear what they plan to do.
Well, everybody says they're one-dimensional, but their coaching staff says we're actually two-dimensional. We run the off tackle, we'll run the quarterback outside, and we'll pitch it to the pitch man, Mike Bradley, of course. But they run it really interestingly, the option. If we take a look at it here on tape here, we got Ryan Wilkinson, the quarterback, of course. We circle him. Eddie Kim, the big fullback in the backfield. And then Mike Bradley is the tailback in the I formation. Now, Wilkinson has the ball snapped. He's going to put the ball into Eddie Kim's midsection here. But the key thing is look where Wilkinson's head's looking. He's not looking at the running back. He's actually looking to see whether or not the defender's going to collapse on Eddie Kim. Now, the defender collapses on Kim. He looks, the pitch man's taken, and then Wilkinson makes a real quick read, and he gets around the corner. And this is why this offense is so dangerous.
Well, I mentioned that Blake Nill is the defensive coordinator of this team as well, and he hasn't seen this type of offense in a long time. Earlier, we asked Nill exactly how he will deal with this potent O of the Waterloo Warriors.
Basically, in order to defend that, it's a matter of breaking down the assignments of each of the players, making sure they remain disciplined with their assignments, and have confidence that their teammates can perform their assignments. I think where you have breakdowns playing against the wishbone is, are the option, is when some of your players try to do too much.
We do it, and we do it all the time. We don't deviate it. We also understand that you're going to stop us. It's going to happen. But all of a sudden, Eddie Kim racks up 22 yards on a big break for him, which is a big break, or Wilkie will get 35 yards, or Bradley can break it from anywhere on the field. So you got to believe in it. You can't, just because that play didn't work at that time, does not mean it's not a good football play.
It's an old-fashioned offense, Jamie, but Chris Trianafillo has a lot of confidence in it, as he did.
And it's not that complex. They just want to pound it, and keep pounding it all game long.
Well, it's a tradition to have the Atlantic Bowl here at Husky Stadium. Another one of our traditions down here, Alex J. Walling. Let's go to him now. Alex.
Thanks, Rod. The only member who has not played, only member of the broadcast crew who hasn't played in this game. You've been mentioning about Waterloo. Quick memory. Waterloo, or the last time an Atlantic Bowl team faced the so-called of triple option, if you call it, was back in 1973 against Wilfrid Laurier. Some similarities. Tuffy Knight was the coach then. One of his proteges is the coach of Waterloo. Also, a young defensive back played for Waterloo called Larry Utak. And it's also the only time St. Mary's won that and on their way to their first national championship. It could be an interesting confrontation, gentlemen.
Well, in the days of Larry Utak, they certainly got to this game quite often. It's been 5 years. St. Mary's looking to get back to the national championship, taking on Waterloo, and we'll get started. The kickoff is coming up on TSN. In Halifax, it's a nice day. They're brought to you by the Weather Network, 12 degrees Celsius, and a wind that is gusting at times, 20 kilometers an hour from the southwest, but that does tend to pick up and then drop down again, and could be a factor ultimately in this day. A nice one and a nice hat. Time for some flying. Maybe expecting some passing today, Jamie.
I think you're going to see a lot of passing from St. Mary's. I'm not so sure about it from Waterloo.
It would indeed be a surprise to see what Waterloo will do. We'll find out quickly, though, because the Huskies won the toss and elected to kick off against Waterloo. And with the wind, however, it's Jay Curry getting the 1999 Atlantic Bowl underway. Matt McKnight with it for Waterloo at the 10. And tries to cut it up the middle, gets across the 20 and no further, and so on comes that triple option offense and run very capably by this man, Ryan Wilkinson, in his 5th season And a very productive one for him, even though the passing yards are deceptive. They run the football and run it well.
And, you know, he executes the option probably better than any quarterback I've seen in a number of years. I mean, he's been around doing it since he's been a freshman. He's just absolutely super. He reads it so quick, and he's a great athlete as well.
First down, Warriors. They've never been to the national championship game. Trying to get there today. It's Mike Bradley, their star, taking it and getting around the outside for a pickup of about 5 yards.
Well, the Waterloo backs and receivers and the tight ends are Klubinskas and Selleck. The wideouts, Beckler and Krivik. He's the big guy, 31 receptions. Running back Eddie Kim, Mike Bradley, and Ryan Wilkinson rounds out a quarterback.
4 of the 5 are in their 4th year or 5th year, led by the center, Dan Sakina. In the middle for Waterloo, very experienced offensive line, and even though there are no conference all-stars there, they've done an excellent job up front. The handoff is on the option. The fake to Kim and the toss to Bradley, and getting up close to, but about a yard shy of a first down. So into this wind already right now. St. Mary's a good job against the Warriors. Waterloo will be punting.
That was a nice job there by Matthew Demers, because he's got the quarterback, and that's his primary responsibility. Came off of Wilkinson and actually made a nice tackle on Mike Bradley.
Chris Triafolino.
I'm going to call him Chris T all game, or Coach T. What his players call him?
Triantafillo. See, I already mispronounced the name. Triantafillo. You know, I was talking to him last night. He just said, and he says it to everybody, just call me Chris T, Coach Chris. But I am determined. Triantafillo played for Tuffy Knight, coached under Tuffy Knight, took over the program, Tuffy Knight's program. And now in his 2nd year, has them in a national semifinal. The punt. Tony Rehau with it, and very good into the wind. It's taken, bobbled a bit, down at the St. Mary's 40, and good special teams coverage there by Chris Wolf after a 38-yard punt. On comes the St. Mary's quarterback, Ryan Jones.
And those are absolutely incredible numbers. You know, he's 12 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions. You know, he's a 61% passer, put up some pretty good numbers this year. And the thing that I like about St. Mary's offense, this is a team that does not turn the ball over.
And so it's first down. Jones going to work. St. Mary's defense holding the first drive out of the shotgun. Rolling to his right and completing his first pass. And it's Paul Fleming with the first catch of the day in this game.
Got a lot of receivers out here. Wide receiver Dave Stalla, Jake Curry, Tebow and Fleming are the insides. Running back Louis Perez and Dean Jones, and of course quarterback Ryan Jones.
That left tackle, the guy on the goatee, Brad Chalmers, played in the 1990 Vanier Cup against Saskatchewan for St. Mary's in his 5th year, but obviously those years have been spread out. He's 29 years of age, back for one last kick at the can. The handoff goes to Dean Jones straight up the middle. On short yardage, he has the first down for St. Mary's. Jones over 600 yards rushing this season, one of that good running tandem. And the defense up front, Nate Martin, the linebacker here, had an outstanding game, player of the game in the Yates Cup.
In the secondary, led by Jason Tibbetts, a 2-time All-Canadian, 1997 and 98.
First down, Huskies on the move near midfield. The ball spotted at the 52. And working with the wind is Ryan Jones. The handoff up the middle for Dean Jones, and very short yardage. Gain of maybe 1 yard for the Huskies.
Now, this kind of offensive set that St. Mary's is throwing to Waterloo. Now, Waterloo have seen something similar to this against McMaster this year, a game in which Waterloo lost. St. Mary's like to put a lot of receivers out to one side, flood the zone area, get all the backs out of the backfield.
And that was Blake Nill, the head coach of the St. Mary's Huskies. As Jamie had mentioned earlier, former defensive coordinator with St. FX, went to a Vanier Cup in '96, losing to the Saskatchewan Huskies. And turning this program around, 7-1 this year in the regular season. Out of the shotgun and passing over to Jones. Gets over midfield, but still shy of a first down to Waterloo's 53, but the Huskies will be coming on to punt for the first time in this game.
You can see both teams right now kind of coming out and feeling each other out right away. Nobody not doing anything real fancy, not trying to put the ball deep at all, trying to establish their offenses. You know, there's one thing about the Waterloo offense, Rod, that we have to mention is that it's an offense that will go a lot of times 2 and out, 2 and out, 2 and out. And then all of a sudden they can spring a big one on you because it takes so much discipline to play against it on defense that sometimes that has a tendency to break down at critical times in a game.
Jay Curry with the punt. And it's dropped. Could be Husky football. No, they say it's Waterloo's. It was bobbled. On the return attempt there, but good break there for the Warriors after a 38-yard punt by Jay Curry. Chris Trianafillo has a great quarterback to work with, and his fifth-year veteran, Ryan Wilkinson. And this is what Coach T has to say.
Ryan brings that even keel to our program. The confidence, the athletic ability, his judgment, game day judgment is tremendous. And I think when everyone sees him right on the field, you feel that confidence. You just see it in his eyes, and his athletic ability brings it out.
And on that play, Wilkinson hands off to the big fullback, Eddie Kim.
And an interesting story about Wilkinson is, you know, he went to the Winnipeg Blue Bombers camp last June. And, you know, his status is he is officially retired from the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. He's not on the roster, but he's retired. They wanted him to go back to school, play receiver, and in the first game of the season, he played slot back against McMaster, a game in which Waterloo lost. They decided to put him back in a quarterback, and they really helped turn their season around.
2nd and 2, Warriors at the 23. Oh, and a big hit on Mike Bradley. Derided by Doug Borden, the defensive tackle, the huge 300-pounder for that Husky defense, which is Husky to say the least. A lot of big men up front. Borden, not to say the least, and Mark Axhorn, a conference all-star.
And their secondary is led by Josh Labuki and Sean Mifflin. They are also 2 conference all-stars, along with Dennis Arruda, Curtis Nash, and Michael Crooks.
So a big hit on Bradley, but not before a first down as they run the option. Wilkinson the toss to Bradley. And he does get outside, and now turning it up. And another pretty good gain for the Warriors there on first down up near the 38 of St. Mary of Waterloo.
And the impressive thing about Mike Bradley, and I think Waterloo actually keep a stat on this, yards gained after the initial hit. I mean, the first guy never brings him down. I mean, he's one-on-one with a defender in the open field. The first guy never brings him down. And you know, we've seen him carry the ball twice. The first person has not brought him down. For the rushing leaders in the CIAU, Doug Rosen, of course, a great running back with the Huskies. Mike Bradley right behind, and Akbal Singh at UBC.
And straight up the gut, see if they can get it up across the 40-yard line, which they do. Close to another Warrior first down. Eddie Kim, big fullback, the ball carrier. You see those top 3 rushers. 2 of them are Heck Crichton Trophy nominees. One of them, Akbal Singh of UBC, and Mike Bradley up for that honor.
You know, the real challenge for St. Mary's defensively this afternoon is the AUAA is primarily a passing conference, and you know they've been rushing the passer. This is the first time they've really come up against a team that just wants to pound the ball in there all the time. I know Waterloo are hoping to wear them down throughout the game.
And this guy can wear him down. Eddie Kim still on his feet. Eddie Kim across midfield, and another Warrior first down, their 3rd one, all rushing on this drive. Gain of 15 yards for the Warriors.
Give the ball an off tackle, nobody collapses, and Eddie Kim does a great job of keeping his feet moving the whole time. Doesn't give the defender much to hit. Doesn't have the greatest speed in the world, but he's in there for his power.
The wind is really picking up here, an advantage Waterloo to be able to move against it. On the ground, of course, it pays having a good ground game, especially in this situation. The big fullback, well, they fake to him, and Wilkinson keeps it himself. Ryan Wilkinson can run that ball, and he has another good gain on first down inside the 45 of St. Mary's.
And this is the type of situation Waterloo like to find themselves in. 2nd and short. Again, Wilkinson reads it off tackle. Now he decides to cut it up, takes it, does a pretty nice job of cutting back against the grain to get 7 yards.
Spotted right at the 45. So a gain of 6, 2nd and 4, Warriors. This their 2nd drive of the game. And moving it into Husky territory, and a scoreless one early here in the Atlantic Bowl. The handoff, right side to Bradley, and shy of the first down, gains maybe 2.
Well, I think if they're short, I think you're going to see Waterloo go for it here. I think they...
Well, they are outside of field goal range, definitely. The ball at the 42 would take a 49-yarder. And their kicker, Tony Reha, might be good from the 45. His best is 43, but remember, they are against the wind.
No, and the wind is quite gusty here as well. I think this is a good move by him not to try and punt it away, because the net yardage you might get might only equal out about 10 or 15 yards.
In these situations, we know St. Mary's plan to go with a 3-down offense. In other words, not bother with kicking at this point of the field. But we see this now. on a 3rd and 1 and an early gamble here by the Warriors. Bradley with the ball, and the gamble pays off. It's a first down, Waterloo, at the St. Mary's 40.
First down.
This is just straight power football lead with the two fullbacks in the backfield. Mike Bradley finds that little seam. And you can see that offensive line just blew back to St. Mary's.
And behind Dan Schock and Ted Lowe on that right side. The drive starting at their 16. And this has all been on the ground, and it stays that way. On the option, Wilkinson tosses to Bradley. Jumps over Wilkinson and then gets a rough ride by Joe Bonaventura. Out of bounds after a gain of only 2 yards and a hard-earned 2.
He's just going to come back. He's going to call holding here. But again, one of the critical things here is that Wilkinson gets pushed up the field a little bit, and see the relationship between he and Bradley is not exactly where they like it. Good job by Mike to try and get over, and Bonaventura gives a good shot at the end, but it's a flag against Waterloo. I believe it's holding.
And with them fighting the wind, even on a short gain on first down, they do elect to push them back.
Holding, 5-5 Waterloo. First down, repeat it.
It's the center, Paul Skina. There's Coach Trinafillo, looks on.
And you know, if you're at home, you might be sitting there saying, why would they call holding on the center when the ball went wide to the field? Well, I think the reason they're doing that is because they don't know that the ball is going wide. Because they can run the ball off tackle to Eddie Kim, and that might have a big effect on it. I think if they were running any kind of other offense, an official might look at that and say, had really no effect on the play, right, I'm not going to call it.
Bring your football to the prize area at the north end of the stadium. At the discount truck.
So this is the play here, Jim.
Right in the middle, you see the center, that's Sabina. Yeah, well, that's a tackle. You're going to call that regardless. You just cannot get your arms in like that and bring him down.
So 1st and 20 now, and pushed back to St. Mary's 50-yard line. Take the handoff, the toss to Bradley. Outside he gets. He's got speed, and out of bounds. Inside the 35, so a good pickup on that 1st and 20. They get about 15 of it back. It'll be 2nd down, about 4 or 5 for the Warriors.
Real good read by Wilkinson here, right there. Bang, pitches it right away, and now he gets Bradley, gets his shoulders upfield. And look at the speed that he has. He really turns it on. You know, we talked to Chris Trinafillo, Coach T, Coach Chris, Coach T. And he said, you know, we've had some great backs here. You know, they had Tom Chartier back in the early 90s. Also Jared Smith, who Mike Bradley took over, but he said nobody is faster.
Last week on a botched field goal attempt, he caught a pass and scooted up the sideline for a touchdown for the Warriors in the Yates Cup game. That one straight up the gut. And 2nd down, Bradley the ball carrier and gets close to first down yardage. He does have another first down for the Warriors.
And, you know, critical drive here. I mean, not only are they moving the ball effectively, but they're continuing to eat up the clock with only 6.5 minutes left in the first. Waterloo going against the wind.
And they spot the ball at the 30, so they're going to bring the chains out. It certainly looks, it's across the 30, so very close, obviously. Thought initially they did have that first down, but yes, they do. All along the ground. Trinafillo's offense working to perfection on this 2nd drive of this Atlantic War. You pointed out, Jamie, they can be clock killers, and if they have a lead in the 4th quarter, that really works to their advantage.
No question. If they can continue to move the ball this effectively.
Waterloo has never been to a national championship game, never been to the Vanier Cup. The closest they came 2 years ago when Mike Bradley was a backup to Jared Smith. Didn't get in at all in that game. And they lost to the Ottawa UGG at Frank Clair Field in Ottawa. On the toss to Bradley, trying to get outside, he cuts back inside Josh Labuki, who takes him down after a gain of about 3 yards. Mike Bradley, MVP of the conference this year.
You don't see this very often from Waterloo, but they will run toss. They lead with Eddie Kim outside trying to kick out. This time he actually turns around and seals the guy. Mike Bradley cuts it up, but a good job by St. Mary's defense. Make it 2nd down and 8. And you would think in normal situations, most teams would go back and throw the ball in this situation. Not so with
most teams.
Yeah, not so with Waterloo. I think they feel that they're in 3-down territory right now.
Wilkinson will pass, lo and behold, and looking deep. A touchdown for the Warriors. Chris Krevick with it. He had a big reception last week in the Yates Cup, and he has put Waterloo on the board with the pass, no less. And this is something that St. Mary's had acknowledged could happen, Jamie.
Now Ryan Wilkinson has great protection back here in the pocket. You know, he doesn't try to do anything fancy. He just throws the ball up high and lets Krevick go after it. But now Josh Labuki is saying, hey, there's a lot of pushing off there, and he's looking for the official from help. But you know what? That's just a great play by Chris Krevick. Leading receiver this year. It's his 5th touchdown of the season.
That's the remarkable thing in this offense that is so tailor-made to the run, that he was 7th in the CIAU with 30 catches for 660 yards. But the 4th-year student from London puts Waterloo on the board first on that touchdown, 7-0 over St. Mary's. But the Waterloo Warriors on top in this Atlantic Bowl in the first quarter, 7-0. Catching one from Ryan Wilkinson. They finally went to the air, and it led to a touchdown after eating up the clock and the yardage along the ground.
And that's, you know, the tough thing when you're playing against option. You have to play man coverage or zero coverage in the secondary, so he was one-on-one. You know, Wilkinson did a really nice job of just putting the ball up nice and high and trying to allow Krevick to really out-jump the defender for the football, and he came down with it.
The last week at the Yates Cup game against Wilfrid Laurier, Waterloo did much the same early in the game. A couple of deep passes that led to a lot of trouble for the Golden Hawks. And on that return for St. Mary's up to the 22-yard line. Let's go down to Alex J. Walling. Alex?
Chris, 1 pass, 1 completion, 1 touchdown. Tell me about the play.
We just wanted to bring up their defense with the run. That's our bread and butter. And then, you know, when they're fighting up, we just want to beat them deep, take our advantage. With this great play there with Wilkie, a great ball just right to the corner. We practice that fade a lot.
Were you the primary receiver, or were there several of you?
Well, everyone's a receiver out there, but you know, we like to make some mismatches out there and then go from there. Wilkie just made a good read.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks a lot. What's up, London, Waterloo, LAW, Jameson.
Few plugs in there, and they plugged the hole for Luis Perez as well on that first down game. The scoring drive for the Waterloo Warriors, and look at the amount of time they used on that clock, Jamie.
That's incredible. 6 minutes and 13 seconds against the wind, and 94-yard drive. Finishes off with a pass to Chris Krevick, a 27-yard catch, 11 rushing plays.
There was a flag on that last play. And so it will be first down and 15.
First down and 15.
Huskies trying to answer now. That long drive, that offense sitting on the sideline for a long time, waiting to get their chance again. Ryan Jones setting up in shotgun. Has Travis Tyler flanked out to his right, making some changes now with Perez, and takes it and rolls out to his left. Under pressure and taken down. A sack for the Warriors, and number 41, Chris Wolf.
Well, Waterloo did some pretty interesting things on defense. It took Jason Tibbetts, who's normally the corner. They put him back at free safety. You see him in the middle of your screen. St. Mary's trying to roll out to the left. Had a guy short, he thought, but then Chris Ciantis jumped on it. And number 41, Chris Wolf, comes up with a big sack.
And so the Huskies have been going backwards after a 5-yard penalty and then the sack. Second down, more than 20 yards to go now. Setting up near his end zone. Under pressure again. They'll take off with it. Ryan Jones on the run. Needs a lot for a first down and won't get close. In fact, he nearly gets back. He's still shy of the original line of scrimmage, getting up near the 20-yard line. So the Huskies will be punting.
And that's not unusual for Ryan Jones to take off with a football. He had 259 yards rushing this year, 4 touchdowns, 6-yard average. You think when you see a quarterback in the open field, you don't go head hunting? Look at this. Bang. There's some pretty good hits on Ryan Jones there. You can see his helmet flies off.
Sure, and it's Wolf in there again. Some early business on that solid Waterloo D. Jay Curry from his 5. Can't get it away. It would have been blocked, so he takes off. This will be interesting. Gets to the 30 and close to a first down. This will be very close. The marker is at the 32.5, and it looks like he got just a bit shy. This could be just about inches shy of a first down. And Curry really had no choice, Jamie.
No, that was a great heads-up play because they had leakage right up the middle. And he did the smart thing because that punt would have been blocked. That was a smart thing to do. Now everybody's turning to try and for the run back for Waterloo, and he's got some yardage here, but just doesn't quite make it.
It was Paul Testa, number 43, who looked to be closest to blocking it coming in. So not good news for Blake Nill.
Boy, it's going to be close.
Although it's a very close measurement. It looks like it'll, yeah, it's inches shy. To stretch it out, it's about 6 inches shy of a first down. A great effort by Jay Curry, and at the very least, it would have been much worse had he decided to kick it anyway. They might have even had a touchdown. So they make the best of it. Not enough for a first down. Waterloo taking over and working against the wind, as we mentioned before. Blake Nill has his hands full early in this game. That Husky defense on for more than 6 minutes is back out there again to see if they can stop that Warrior run and also be cognizant of this team's passing capability. Faking the handoff, reversing, and giving it to Bradley. They've swarmed him. Good coverage by the Huskies. Lost yardage this time of about 3 yards, Bradley, the ball carrier.
Yeah, that was just a great job by St. Mary's defensive end, number 95, Brian Carter. He did a super job here. They're trying to run counter option here. He comes in, he's got the quarterback, but now he comes off the quarterback as well. And he forces Bradley inside. Now, he did not make the initial tackle, but he's the guy who busted the play up.
Carter, one of only 3 players that was in the last Atlantic Bowl St. Mary's was in 1994. A fifth-year student. 2nd and 14 for Waterloo, leading 7-0, and the Huskies 36. On the ground, Bradley has some room, and the left side still going, could be gone. He's got great speed. Touchdown, Warriors. And a flag is down in the Waterloo backfield. A marker down after a great run by Bradley, who really showed what he could do with that outside speed. But it's coming back.
Holding, number 9, Waterloo. 2nd down, repeat it.
Grant Beckler called for the hold. And the touchdown is for naught. It goes back all the way back to the 46 of St. Mary's. So quite a turn of events there in what could have been a 14-0 game.
The bottom right-hand side of your screen, you see number 9, Beckler. Yeah, on number 7, that's Dennis Arruda. And that actually sprung Mike Bradley outside. It was a good call by the official.
So 2nd and 24. Wilkinson keeps it and fooled everybody. And tiptoes down the sidelines and gets a lot of yardage made up there inside the 30. Still shy of a first down. But got to within field goal range on that 2nd down and long.
And you see how quick he is. I mean, they ran this play naked. I mean, they didn't bring anybody out here. And watch, bang, everybody buys to the right-hand side. Now he spun around outside, and he has very, very good speed.
The Warriors show so many variations on their options. And no one executes it better than this guy. Outstanding option quarterback. Calling a timeout now, though, on this critical 3rd down. Against the wind, it may not be field goal range. We'll find out when we come back. The Atlantic Bowl on TSN. Also have host ceremonies. Molson, that's hockey at 10:30 Eastern. And regional, we will have the Montreal Canadiens taking on the Anaheim Mighty Ducks at 10:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 Pacific time. All here on TSN. Right now on TSN, the Husky cheerleaders are trying to cheer their team back into this game, trailing 7-0. Waterloo football going for it on 3rd down and 5. Play action fake over the middle for Krevick. Has the ball, 1st and goal Warriors. And the pass burns St. Mary's again.
That's a great catch by Chris Krevick. Does a great job here. Just one-on-one coverage, and they run the post pattern. And this is very good coverage downfield. Wilkinson again just lays it out in front. He doesn't have to worry about anybody playing zone. No free safeties. The ball was perfectly thrown. And a great catch by Chris Kribbick at a Banting Secondary School in London, Ontario. Curtis Nash on the coverage.
He was all over him.
Well, Curtis Nash only 5'7", you know, and Chris Kribbick comes in at 6'2", so there's a bit of a height advantage for Waterloo.
The handoff to Bradley, short yardage. Didn't need much. He's still not in, no signal. He gets very close. Trying to fill his offense. They set the table with the run, but so far they've been dining out on the pass. Much like last week against the Warriors in the 8th Cup, against the Golden Hawks.
Good penetration by Matthew Demers. All-conference defensive end or linebacker. They kind of line him up in a two-point stance normally when they run their 40 look. Outside, an aggressive player that belongs well Quebec.
2nd and goal for the Warriors on the Husky 1. Trying it again. And still no signal and not in. So 2 cracks and no touchdown yet. 3rd down. As the crowd starts to stir here at Husky Stadium. A partisan crowd hoping for a goal line stand from St. Mary's.
Well, they've done 2 great goal line stands now. Great penetration, getting into the gaps. Doing a really good job of submarining. Let the linebacker come in there and make the hit. Been impressive by St. Mary's in this 1-yard goal line stand. Now, it'll be interesting to see now Waterloo try and take it outside.
Well, they've tried with Bradley inside. They've tried with Wilkinson inside. He keeps it, and they're onto it. He throws, it's intercepted. Picked off by Curtis Nash, and that Husky defense holds strong. And it was Nash who was in coverage of the big play that set this up, making amends there.
And, you know, they say if all football games kind of hinge on certain things that happen, and this could be the spark that St. Mary's needs right now. You know, 2 times from the 1-yard line, they stuff Waterloo, have been running the ball very effectively against them. And this time they try to run naked out here, do a good job of getting on. Now, Wilkinson, knowing it's 3rd down, he's just going to throw the ball up and not take the sack. But Curtis Nash comes down with a big, big play for the St. Mary's Huskies. Now, this was run all the way. He had no intentions of passing the football. You see Chris Kribbick was just kind of looking around.
Now, why didn't he go down in the end zone and they would have had it out at the 10? Instead, they're out at the about 1-yard line. But still a great play by Nash. Huskies buried in their territory and trying to run that ball out. A gain up across the 5. Good gain by Luis Perez on 1st down. And Curtis Nash from LaSalle, Quebec, in his 2nd year, and a big play to get the Huskies out of some trouble. They're down by 7 at the Atlantic Bowl. 1 quarter in Halifax, the Huskies trail Waterloo 7-0 down to Alex J. Wallace.
The guy who made the interception, Curtis, tell me about the play.
The quarterback did like a naked bootleg to my side. I think he was trying to hit a tight end or something. My man did it out. Somebody sacked the quarterback. Quarterback shot it wild, and I just picked it off.
All right, Curtis, thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you, Alex. Big play defensively for the Huskies. Deep in their own zone. It's 2nd and 5 after a 5-yard carry by Luis Perez to end the quarter. The handoff there inside is Perez. Dean Jones. And that's up at a 1st down yardage there. The sticks will move for the Huskies. So a couple of big running plays to get them started here.
Well, no surprise. They're only 13 yards passing for St. Mary's, but look at the rushing yards for Waterloo in that 1st quarter. And time of possession is the huge one, 11 minutes against the wind.
How tired do you think St. Mary's defense is right now? And I guess to tie in with that, how important would you say it is for the Huskies to at least get a drive together, if not some points in the board?
Yeah, they have to get a drive going here now. I mean, they had a big surge there when they had the great play on the 1-yard line.
An injured player down on the field for the Huskies, but they do have a 1st down. We'll be back, the Atlantic Bowl on TSN. To get to that one next week, the Vanier Cup, number 33. It'll be either Waterloo or St. Mary's against either Saskatchewan or Laval, and we've got it for you here on TSN next Saturday. Injured player.
Kelly Ireland starting left guard.
Who had a very good year, and yet the only one on that offensive line not named all-conference. Tryouts in the CFL. Handoff there on 1st down, Dean Jones. So St. Mary's answering back with a ground game of their own. Good gain on 1st down of about 8 yards for the Huskies.
And this is good play calling here because, you know, St. Mary's run that, you know, that 5-pack offense with their receivers all to the right. And they really spread out. And their offensive line take great big splits. That's one thing you really notice how and so it really separates the defenders on the defensive line, and that gives them room to run the counter here. You see, does a nice job of cutting it up and getting close to a first down.
Blake Mill sees some more encouraging sights now with his team down by 7. Jones again. Chris Wolf takes him down after another first down for St. Mary's. Now remember, we talked about Waterloo's ground game, but the Huskies had 2 running backs, Jones and Luis Perez, who had more than 600 yards. So this is a team that, especially early in the season, Jamie, liked to run that ball. A flag down on the field. And it'll be marched off against the Warriors, so more positive yardage for these St. Mary's Huskies. And a drive that started at their 1-yard line after the turnover. The Nash interception is up to their 47.
Unnecessary roughness, 23 Waterloo. Hot tackle. First down.
Chris Weymouth called the defensive back for the Waterloo Warriors on that. Ryan Jones standing under center. The backfield is cleared. The pass completed to Jay Curry, who you've already seen as their kicker, the leading scorer in the Atlantic Conference. Gets 6 yards on that quick pass from Ryan Jones.
I say Mary's are doing a real nice job now in their offense. They seem to really get into the flow now. They're mixing things up. You know, they're running to the left outside. They're running counter with Dean Jones. They're running the short passing game. And I think Blake Neal realized that he does not want to have his defense on the field for a long period of time.
And the offense is obliging now on a 2nd down and 4. And the handoff to Dean Jones. First down. Jones is catching fire as he gets inside the Waterloo 50.
You know, we talk about the quickness of Mike Bradley, but Dean Jones looks every bit as quick as Bradley. This is a real nice cut right here. With the ball deep in the backfield, there's a nice little kick out and then gets up the field. Good blocking up front by St. Mary's offensive line and the nice kick out.
Dean Jones from Irma, Alberta, one of 9 Albertans from the Edmonton area, actually taken by the St. Mary's Huskies. Blake Mill sometimes gets some grief from U of A coach and a friend of his, Tom Wilkinson, about all the recruiting he's done out there. Some successful recruiting. Airing it out is Ryan Jones, has Cartier Shields. It is caught, and it is down inside the Warrior 20. So we're seeing a role reversal now of setting up with the run and passing just like Waterloo did, Jamie.
Boy, this is a great pass against the wind because it's really gusting down there, and I hung up a little bit but put up nice and high. Real nice catch. He lost it there, but the referee ruled that he had possession of it when his knee came down. Inbounds, tough over-the-shoulder catch. Jason Tibbetts playing out of his position, playing free safety.
Quick handoff on first down. Doesn't go very far. Luis Perez, the ball carrier there, but a very encouraging sign here. The long drive by the St. Mary's Huskies, looking to even the score here, down 7-0. Blake Mill had a CFL career, brief one with Montreal, the Concord and the Alouettes back in the 80s, and was an assistant coach, a guest coach with the Calgary Stampeders, as a French in Calgary, native Albertan, Hannah, Alberta.
Played for the Calgary Dinosaurs back in 1980 through 82.
As Nil looks on, we're going to take another break here. Huskies knocking on the door, down by 7. Who did not happen to see the rematch between Lennox Lewis and Evander Holyfield? They'll have a chance on TSN tonight from Las Vegas, about last week. 9:30 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. Should I tell you who won, or have you given it away? Right? You don't know, Jamie. Have you seen it?
No.
You have your chance to check it out tonight. The judging was better. We can say that much. Out of the shotgun and an inside handoff to Luis Perez. And he has a nice big hole to work with there on 2nd down. And another first down for the Huskies on the move, on the ground.
Well, this is a nice play call here because they're in the spread formation. Then they run counter underneath. A real good job by Colin Oldreeve, who's filling in for the injured Kelly Ireland at guard to get that kick out. And St. Mary's are on the 6-yard line.
1st and goal. Shutout so far in this game, but a drive that began at their own 1 10 plays later. They're near pay dirt. Jones. Over to the side, it's caught. Touchdown, Huskies. Travis Tyler finds the end zone, and we're a point shy of a tie game.
Well, they empty out the backfield. They got 4 receivers to the right-hand side. Just a 3-step drop, and he drills it out there, and he comes inside. But all the inside receivers were moving out, and he was moving in, and a real good throw by Ryan Jones. And we're 1 point away from having this game tied.
Now, this is one of the great traditions of the Atlantic Bowl. They need to get some water on that hill. This is an annual thing. Usually late in the game, you'll see it. And celebrating with a big slide down the hill. It's usually muddier than that, Jamie. Jay Curry makes it a tie game. This Atlantic Bowl is even here in the 2nd quarter. Start sliding, boys. Huskies found the end zone. You guys are going to find the bottom of the hill and a washing machine when we're all said and done. The Atlantic Bowl on TSN. People came from Newfoundland to see the Atlantic Bowl. Coming up next, we will take you all to Saint-Foy, Quebec to see the Churchill Bowl between the defending national champion Saskatchewan Huskies and the Laval Rouge et Or Ontario, Quebec champions John Wells and Glenn Sitter. Standing by to give us that one. The touchdown goes to Travis Tyler. That evens this game up at 7 apiece.
And it all started with Curtis Nash's interception on the 1-yard line.
Tyler had been hurt last week. Wasn't necessarily expected to start in this game. It's been productive. The kickoff return there, Matt McKnight there for Waterloo. Back to Alex J. Walling. Alex.
Tyler, how about the play?
Well, it was a great call by our coaches. Just some great blocks laid by my fellow teammates, and I was just able to get in.
Also kept their defense on the team. We got a ball game here.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. As you can see, our team is right into it, and we're going to do our best to keep going and pull this out.
Right, thanks, Travis. Okay, guys.
Okay, and Travis from Edmonton, and part of that 9-player Edmonton area Alberta connection here on the St. Mary's team. A lot of these guys are friends back watching right now. Jones from Irma, Alberta, to Tyler from Edmonton, and St. Mary's on the board. And they do it this way so impressively in just under 4 minutes, Jamie, but starting at their own 1.
That was incredible. 109-yard drive. They actually only ate up close to 4 minutes. And the other thing that's incredible, Rod, is that both big drives in this game have been against the wind.
That's truly remarkable. And this is the makings of a terrific game. So far, it has been a lot of play along the ground. Wilkinson throwing that time, partially deflected and out of bounds. Curtis Nash at the coverage on Chris Pevick, but it was knocked just a touch at the line. Looks like Matthew Demers, number 2, that's playing with a couple of broken fingers, got in on that play.
It was a real good job because he takes a 3-step drop, and then he gets his hands up right away. And you can see that tips it away with that cast on his hand. No chance for Chris Kribick to come up with a catch.
And so the Warriors will be punting on a 3rd and 5. Matthew Demers tied for 2nd in the CIAU in sacks with 8. And I know I was wondering, talking to Blake Nill before, what his effect might be against strictly a running team. But
when we talked to him last night, he said he wasn't that concerned so much about the option. He was more concerned about the play action off of the option. Because he said, we're asking our guys to do so many things in such a short period of time, getting prepped in a week. But he said, I was afraid they'd let the tight end get free releases and get downfield.
Punting nearly blocked. And a flag is down for contacting kicker Tony Reha. On the return, it's Adam Gillen, the 5th-year veteran for the St. Mary's team, but to no avail after a 44-yarder. It doesn't matter. It'll be Waterloo football on the roughing of Tony Reha, nearly blocked by St. Mary's.
Nearly blocked. Actually, Tony Reha kicked it underneath him. But, see see it there. The ball's being kicked. He kicks it underneath him, and then his leg is extended, and he doesn't touch the ball. If he had touched the ball, the kicker's fair game.
Roughing the kicker, number 15. First down.
And it's Ashley Diggs, reserve receiver and, of course, special teams player that is called on that one. That's a tough one because he was so close to getting it done. The Sticks move instead on the penalty, and Waterloo hangs on to the football up now close to their 49-yard line. And a reason to be frustrated for this man, Blake Neal. So good break for the Warriors now after St. Mary's defense had done another good job halting them. Drive continues. Wilkinson hands off. That time to big Eddie Kim. Short gain, Kim, maybe 2 yards across the 50.
I'll tell you, Josh Tavares, the middle linebacker, came in and just submarined Eddie Kim. Number 6 in the middle of your screen on defense. He just comes down here and makes a big play right there. Bang, just goes right through his thighs. That's a big-time play.
Josh Tavares, the Atlantic nominee for the President's Trophy, is top defensive player in the CIAU. He'll be in the running for that one, so either way, he's getting a trip to Toronto next week. He'd like to bring some teammates. They run it right side with Bradley. Gets over midfield into the 54, but still shy of a first down for Waterloo, so they're in a kicking situation again.
And they're going to be shy by about 2 yards. I don't see the punt team running onto the field just yet, so.
With the wind at this point of the field, does it become a 3-down offense, just going for it on 3rd down anyway? They did it before and it succeeded.
Well, I guess it's actually less. It's just about a yard now, so I think that's changed his whole thought process, and he is going to go for it. Now, you consider St. Mary's stuffed him twice from the 1-yard line when it was 1st and goal.
There have been some big plays so far in this game. This has to be considered one of them. A 3rd down gamble again by the Warriors just across midfield in a 7-7 tie. Wilkinson hands off. Bradley has it and more. Mike Bradley finally taken down by Joe Barbati, but not until the Warriors have another first down.
And, you know, a lot of people at home are going to say, now, why didn't Waterloo do that when they were down on the 1-yard line?
Right.
You see a great surge off of here because, see, now they have to respect when they get into that I formation that it is going to be option. It spreads things out. You can't jam everybody in between the ends.
Happiness for Chris Trianafillo and his Waterloo offense.
I'm getting that name down pat.
I'm working it. On the option, Kim has the ball, so the first guy gets it, and Kim takes it close to first down yardage, gets up across inside the St. Mary's 35. So good long gain on first down for Waterloo, about 9 yards.
And Eddie Kim is a big fullback, you know, 6 feet, 245 pounds. Comes into this game with a close to a 6-yard average.
Working out of the eye. Kim again, buried, shy of a first down. They were right on him. Mark Irwin, number 47, was there.
I think he may have lost a yard there, Rod.
But given their confidence in running the ball on this 3rd and short, I don't see Tony Reha again. As mentioned, a 3-down offense. They'll be going for it.
Well, that's really one of the only bad reads we've seen Ryan Wilkinson make today. That was one I'm sure that he wishes he had it pulled out.
So for the 3rd time today, the Warriors are going for it on 3rd down and short. Handing off to Kim, and this will be very close. He does lunge forward. Josh Tavares almost celebratory, thinking they have stuffed him. But they only needed, well, certainly less than a yard, about 1.5 feet. Did not need much, and it looked like Kim did make some progress there. Interesting to see where they choose to spot the ball, and they will bring the Sticks in and see. The 7-7 tie here in the Atlantic Bowl. The winner moving on to the Vanier Cup next week against either Saskatchewan or Laval. We'll have that one coming up for you after this from Saint-Foy, Quebec. It's been a game of some close calls so far, and let's see how close this is. Wow. The nose of the football. First down, Warriors by less than an inch. A 5th-year veteran, Eddie Kim. looking to get to that national championship game in his final year, getting close, losing to Ottawa U 2 years ago. He had a big day then.
They had a huge day in that game.
And they brought along some of their friends to help cheer them on here.
I think they had a bus leave Waterloo on, I think it was Thursday evening. And it drove straight through to Halifax.
On the option. Tries the toss, it's fumbled. Bradley gets it back, but will lose yardage on it back at the St. Mary's 41, a loss of about 3. And Wilkinson getting hit just as he tried to release it.
It's a good job by Kyle Morrison, number 40. He's on the quarterback. He comes right in and forces it right away. No hesitation at all. He's got the quarterback. That's what he's supposed to do. That's his responsibility. And interestingly enough, Kyle Morrison, he's from Altoona, Australia. He'd be playing Australian rules football, not Canadian football.
Perhaps the most successful Australian ever to play CIAU football. I'll hazard a guess. Passing, a rare occasion here for Waterloo, and it goes incomplete. Intended for Trevick, his favorite target. But instead, it'll be a 3rd down and a field goal situation here with the win. Tony Reha is the punter as well, but Reha will be coming out, and I would think with the ball right now at the 37, it would be a 41-yard try. The 36, excuse me, so.
That's his longest, is 43 yards. That's his longest this year. He's hit 11 of 18 this season.
But 43, and as said, it's kind of a swirling or a crosswind as well from the southwest. So it could play some havoc with his accuracy, but it certainly should not hamper his distance. As he puts down his tee. It is a gusting wind, at times very strong, at times dying out. The left-footed Tony Reha will try it from 43. Lots of distance, but it's wide right, and that's the way the wind was gusting. And it's taken out. Curtis Nash just needs to get out, but he's got a lot more than that. If he can get a block, he could be gone. He gets out across the 40. Oh, Curtis Nash is having a busy day of big plays now, and a flag is down after he is taken down. Could be more yardage for St. Mary's. Nash, the man who had the interception in the end zone to snuff out a Waterloo drive with another big one.
Well, he's having a great half. I mean, it looks like he's corralled here. He does a really good job of getting around the corner. Once he escapes contained, he's got a whole open field here. Now the holder, Ryan Wilkinson, is the safety. He comes over and actually stops a touchdown right here by bringing him down. So Wilkinson manages to get in there. But St. Mary's are really starting to pour it on. Special teams, offense, playing very good defense right now.
It was a slow start for the Huskies, but they are responding. They've had a few things go against them along the way, but they're in a tie game right now in good field position after an excellent return by Curtis Nash. Out of the shotgun, Ryan Jones finds a man. And a good gain by number 19, Patrick Thibault, the slot back. Thibault's first catch of the day.
And you know what's impressive about St. Mary's? And watch after Thibault catches his pass. You know, a lot of receivers stand around. No, they got guys downfield blocking people. I mean, look at people being taken out. Look at the defenders in Waterloo going down to the behinds. I mean, this is a great job by people downfield to throw blocks.
When we go, guys, shut up. Listen to me.
Hand off to Adam Gillen. Gillen right side, room. Adam Gillen, the 5th-year Husky, with another first down for St. Mary's. Product of PEI. From Charlottetown, the 5th-year art student.
Well, they love to run that counter. And he gets around the corner clean. You know, right now, St. Mary's really have Waterloo's defense back on their heels right now. They just have no idea where the ball is going to go. Mixing it up, throwing the ball short to the left. They're running right.
Gillen, along with Brad Chalmers, their left tackle, and Brian Carter, the defensive end, the only 3 left in the Husky team that played in the '94 Atlantic Bowl, losing to Saskatchewan. Pass is low. It's incomplete. It's a good call as it bounces off before.
And you can see he's really upset with himself because, you know, he tried to hand the ball to him. He was so wide open. He wanted to make sure he got him the ball, and instead of throwing it.
Intended for number 80, Paul Fleming.
But take a look at the time he's got back here in the pocket. I mean, he's under absolutely no pressure at all. He's got an open receiver. You know, he just lost his technique there a little bit, and see his frustration.
Sometimes is it the open ones that get you the most fancy as a quarterback?
It is, because, you know, he's so wide open, you don't want to miss him, and you think you just got to hand him the ball as opposed to keeping your technique. But a great afternoon so far, 6 of 7.
I was going to say, he hasn't missed a lot of them, just that one. And he gets that one, so make it 7 of 8 for Ryan Jones. Well, that's caught and out of bounds. And it's Jay Curry with the catch, and a good gain there on 2nd down, but just short down to the 20-yard line. 9 yards, 1 to go, and they are definitely, given the kicking game, Jay Curry, a receiver, also the kicker, but given the kicking game that they have, they prefer to just go for it, just the way Waterloo has been doing, especially the way this wind has been swirling. This is the safer thing to do, especially in Waterloo territory as they are, and they hand it off. They've got a first down. Taken back. Jason Tibbetts is in there to push back Luis Perez, but his forward progress should easily move the sticks.
You know, the effectiveness of St. Mary's passing game, even when they're 3rd and short, they still put a lot of receivers to the right side of the screen, so it spreads out Waterloo. They can't all jam everybody inside. And Jason Tibbetts has to come up with the tackle, but not before they got the first down.
The scoring, being 7-7, is a little bit deceptive because it would imply the defense's rule that the offenses have done well, but they've just been ball control offenses so far. Long, long drives. Offense has been doing very well, just don't have the points to show for it so far.
Well, the last 2 drives by St. Mary's have been very impressive.
Look at Ryan Jones getting the helmet on and ready to come back in again.
Waterdown, Ontario, just outside of Hamilton.
Proud to announce this year's corporate 2015. Presenting sponsor is Milk. Alexander Keith, Yoplait, Chevrolet, Tim Hortons, Ultramar, PM Canada, Air Canada, ATV, CCV.
The huddle breaks. The Huskies on a first down inside the 20. Ryan Jones to pass. Has a man. Tebow. And a gain of about 4 or 5 for St. Mary's. Tebow's 2nd catch of this game. And down to about the 15.
Play action pass. Hold the linebackers up. They get Tebow out in the flat. Nice catch. Goes up and catches the ball at his highest point out of Victoriaville, Quebec. Had 11 catches this year, 239 yards. Good average, close to 22 yards per reception, and had 2 touchdowns.
We talked about the recruiting of Blake Nill, and they've got players from a lot of places, not just the Maritimes, Ontario, Alberta. Intercepted! Intercepted, his knee was down. It's Waterloo football.
Pass is intercepted.
And that was Mike Laporte.
The safety with the pick for the Warriors. 7-7 tie here at the Atlantic Bowl. Intercepted the pass of Ryan Jones, Jamie.
Well, Ryan Jones runs play action pass again. He gets a little bit of pressure off the corner from Chris Wolf and actually just makes a poor throw. Throws it behind Patrick Tebow, and Mike Laporte was right there on the spot for the pick.
In his 3rd year, systems design student out of Orleans, Ontario.
Well, he's going to own the world one of these days. Those guys at Waterloo taking computer science.
The handoff, Wilkinson to Bradley. Not too much doing there on first down. Starting off the drive after the pick. Much like St. Mary's did after their interception deep in their own territory. So a couple of drives have been snuffed out here by picks.
Well, sorry, Rod. It's interesting, though, that both teams have had a chance to really kind of establish themselves and really take control of the tempo of this game, yet they've let the other team kind of get back into it. Of course, Waterloo having that touchdown call back would have made it 14-0, and the great goal line stand by St. Mary's. And now the interception by Waterloo.
2nd and 8, Warriors the ball at their 7-yard line. Wilkinson to Bradley again, and St. Mary's is all over it. John Benaventura is there. And he wasn't alone as the Huskies bury Bradley, and they'll be punting.
Just watch how quick their linebackers are to react, Rod. I mean, they get right up in there right away. This is not a passive defense. You know, I talked to Blaine Scatcher during the week, the quarterback from Acadia, and I asked him, you know, what's the biggest thing you notice about St. Mary's defense? He said there's two things, attitude and pressure. He said they have a cocky attitude when they play defense, and they come at you with everything. And we're certainly starting to see them establish themselves right now on defense.
And so Tony Real will punt with a swirling wind, although it's tough to tell sometimes, coming out of the end zone and then coming cross field. His first one going 38 yards. This one had better go at least that far, or else St. Mary's is going to enjoy some fantastic field position on the receiving end, because he is standing deep in his own end zone to get this one away.
I think St. Mary's receivers are back too far. They're right at midfield.
Midfield does seem to be awfully gracious. They'll be coming in for sure, unless he gets away a dandy. This one drops down inside the 30. Gillen takes it inside the 40 after the bounce, and is taken back on good special teams coverage there after a 35-yard punt. Adam Gillen on the return. Huskies have a number 7 on their helmets. And that in honor of Larry Utek. There's Larry there off to the right. Blake Nill took over the program from the legendary St. Mary's coach, and this is what Nill had to say about Larry Utek.
I can sincerely say that right now I consider him to be look at him as almost a hero of mine now. Here's a guy who gave me a chance, which I'll always, appreciate. Here's a guy who comes to work every day, despite the situation he's going through, and he shows up, and there's nothing I enjoy better than telling him old stories and having him tell me stories and seeing him laugh. And I really look at him as a hero.
The trouble that Blake Nill's referring to is that Larry Utek suffers from ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, and a favorite down here and a legendary coach. He took the Huskies to 7 conference championships. They won the conference 7 times in an 8-year period, and certainly someone to look up to.
And not only that, loved by the people in Halifax. I mean, he was a politician, was the deputy mayor, and was mayor of the city of Halifax.
He left coaching, I guess, to go into political life. Inspirational figure for these Huskies on the screen, taken there with a flag down in the field.
Screen pass is complete. There is a flag.
It's a good call, but Daryl Tharby, the inside linebacker, sniffed it out. There's the name, Daryl Tharby. You think of the Tharby family. I know his brother Bruce played at Western back in the mid-'80s, was in an Atlantic Bowl. His other brother Clive won a national championship with Laurier in '91.
Illegal block. 25. Decline. Third down.
And getting back to Larry Utek for a moment, they won the Atlantic Conference in '87 for 4 straight years, going to the Vanier twice, and then they got back again 7 times in an 8-year period. Once again, Larry Utek looking on his former team and on the right side there.
Now, it's interesting here, when we talked to Blake Nill yesterday, he said, you know what, we don't like to punt the ball when we're inside the other team's end. He said, we got a lot of gadgets we like to use, and they've got their punt team out there now, so keep our eyes open, see if they run anything.
Jay Curry to get it away, and it is very short. They might have been better off going for it under that circumstance. It goes off the side of Curry's foot.
Well, I think he was trying to angle it down towards the end zone there to get it out on the short side of the field, but that just went off the side of his foot.
A punt of 6 yards.
And plus, he holds the ball real high, and when he drops it, with this kind of gusting wind out here, it doesn't probably fall as true as it might.
You're right, it is. It would be definitely tricky that way.
Also high he holds the ball here when he puts the ball way up high, and it just goes off the side of his foot. It's a good snap, and you see he's going to angle it. Actually, we're going to get a pretty good drop. He just missed it. That's when you'd like to have a place to hide.
Waterloo has the football. 7-7 tie. A lot of movement by these offenses. Defenses have really knuckled under when they've had to, though, as they do here as well on first down. I tell you, St. Mary's D is really starting to respond against that Waterloo offense.
They're doing a great job of shedding the blocks. I mean, the initial contact is there from Waterloo, but they're just getting off of the blocker right away and getting right into the gap. I mean, I'm really impressed with the quickness and speed of St. Mary's linebackers.
Number 6, Josh Tavares.
Catching pretty solid. All right, we didn't have any problems there. We just got to make a better read, okay? The safeties are squishing some stuff now, so let's get downfield maybe a bit.
Second down and 9. Discussion on there. Husky sideline there. Gord Beatty. Bradley turns it outside. He has a first down for the Warriors. Ridden out there by Dennis Arruda and Curtis Nash. They can't curtail him that time, and he gets up to the 44 of Waterloo. Under a minute to go until halftime here at Husky Stadium.
First down, Waterloo.
Nearly halfway through the Atlantic Bowl, and after this we will go to Saint-Foy, Quebec, home of Laval. About 9,000 expected to cheer on the Rouge et Or, taking on the defending national champions John Wells and Glenn Stiller standing by to give us that one.
Now, I heard that game was sold out on Monday.
From the 44 and a first down, Wilkinson to pass, can't find anybody. Under pressure from Mark Irwin, gets it away, it's complete. First catch of the day to Riza Selleck, their tight end, who gets it up to the St. Mary's 50. Another first down for the Warriors on the move and with the pass again.
That's a good job by Wilkinson to keep his cool here, and Selleck just kind of falls into the middle there. That's a tough throw to throw back across the grain and dangerous. Except with a good catch.
And trying to get some points and break this deadlock before they head to the locker room. 32 seconds and counting on the clock here at Husky Stadium. On the first down, Wilkinson throwing again. Krebeck has it, steps out of bounds at about the 45 of St. Mary's, a gain of 5. The range of their field goal kicker, Tony Ria, about 43 yards. That's what he tried and missed. He easily had the distance. But a gusting wind blew it off to the right, or else this game would have been in Waterloo's favor again. Quickly moving now with the clock ticking, and second down. Wilkinson with a flag down. Picked off! This could go! Joe Barbati with the ball. Wilkinson. And Bradley chases him down. A big play by Bradley to prevent a touchdown. Joe Barbati has now put the Huskies in a position to have the lead at the half.
This is just a great job. We talked about the quickness of St. Mary's linebackers. We've been talking about Josh Tavares and Joe Bonaventura. We haven't mentioned Joe Barbati's name much today, but we mention it now because he does a nice job right here. Stepping in front and then really pouring it on and accelerating. Mike Bradley has some great speed because he was 20 yards away and he tracked him down. Now that flag would have been for holding, so St. Mary's, of course, would decline it. Now St. Mary's got a chance to take the lead here with only 10 seconds left to go in the half.
10 seconds, but they're down near the 20. What a switch around here. As Waterloo was hoping to have that lead heading into the locker room. Time is called now as they head off to the sideline. Ryan Jones to talk things over. A fired up bunch down to that Husky sideline now, Jamie.
And that was a good call by Waterloo to call a timeout because they had 13 guys on the field. See, they've just taken Chris Wolf out of the game, number 41. Now, St. Mary's can get 2 plays off here anyway. I mean, they could run the ball here.
They could, and remember that they don't have the strongest field goal game. Their range might be about 35 yards. They're well within that now, but the wind, when it gusts, is extremely strong. And this would not be a gimme field goal, even though the ball is down around the 20-yard line.
No, it's so unpredictable. So unpredictable because you have these big buildings here, and it creates...
It's swirling. It's really picking up right now. So here we go. Husky ball. 10 seconds on the clock. And they hand off to Dean Jones straight up the middle. Jones! Down near the goal line. They'll have a chance to get it in.
That's a great call because I think Waterloo are thinking pass here all the way. I mean, look at the linebackers for Waterloo. Nate Martin, I mean, that's just, you can't play linebacker that way when they're running the football. You know, contrast that kind of play to St. Mary's. Those linebackers are getting up right into the gaps right away. Nate Martin's thinking pass. He's dropping off.
And it'll be touchdown or nothing for the Huskies at this point. 5 seconds on the clock. First and goal, but of course the number of plays is not the issue with this amount of time.
Well, I think they can still get 2 more off because they had called the timeout. They've stopped the clock.
Might be able to get a second play. might not need a second play. First and goal. 7-7 tie. Could be the final play of the half. 5 seconds on the clock. The handoff. No signal. Not in. Luis Perez, the ball carrier.
And there's 1 second left in the clock.
A measly second to have another stab at it.
They're going to kick the field goal.
Perez, the ball carrier, top short.
You're kidding me. Or are they just bringing in? No, they're going to kick the field goal. Last week, Jay Curry had the field goal to win it, to come from behind very late. It was a 10-yarder, and it put St. Mary's into this game, beating Acadia. They had trailed throughout most of the game. We're down by 9 with just minutes to go. So this one is up and through. And so the Huskies do indeed have the lead heading to the locker room thanks to the foot of Jay Curry. That is the end of the first half. And the Huskies lead at 10-7. An entertaining first half of football, especially if you like watching the ground game. Both of these teams have done it very well. Now down to Alex J. Walling.
Coach, pretty shaky start. Great turnaround. Your thoughts?
Well, I think the defense is settling down a bit. We're doing a pretty good job containing the running attack right now, and we just got to keep coming off the ball hard on defense.
Blake, did you think of going forward with 1 second left? Was it a tough call?
I thought of it, not very long though.
All right, thank you very much for your time, Coach.
Thanks, Alex.
Thank you, Alex. Blake Nill decides to kick the field goal. Take the sure thing. Ryan Wilkinson and company down by 3 at the half here at Husky Stadium at the Atlantic Bowl. We'll be back.
175 going there, 60. 60 going to 70. 70.
At the half here at Husky Stadium in Halifax, and it is St. Mary's now in the driver's seat, leading it by a score of 10-7. Of course, the winner of this game goes on to the Vanier Cup, and they'll play the winner of the Churchill Bowl going on in St. Croix, Quebec. We have a preview now from John Wells and Glenn Suter.
It is an absolutely perfect afternoon on the campus of Laval University in St. Croix, Quebec. We're ready for the Churchill Bowl. University of Saskatchewan Huskies and Laval Rouge et Or coming up later this afternoon. The atmosphere here on campus is absolutely terrific, and we expect another full house at Laval this afternoon for the biggest game of football in this school's history.
It's going to be a great crowd here. Last week versus the Ottawa GGs, they had over 8,000 fans packed in this stadium. It was a huge crowd, and it affected the Ottawa GG's quarterback, Phil Cote. Said he couldn't audible, said he couldn't get his signals and his snap count off to the rest of the team, something that the Huskies have to worry about here this afternoon.
Something like we're going through right now, but Brian Tyrus, head coach of the Saskatchewan Huskies, knows that this crowd will be a factor that could affect his team this afternoon.
The noise is a factor for sure. Fortunately for us, we don't audible a whole bunch. The big thing is if you can hear the snap count and you don't make any mistakes from that perspective, then I think you're going to be okay. Like I said, your communications, we have hand signals worked out on defense, so that shouldn't be a big problem either. The big thing is it's difficult on the bench sometimes. I know at the Atlantic Bowl and even in the Sky Dome sometimes when the crowd gets loud, it's very difficult to hear the communication system from upstairs. So, I mean, we've had some experience with it. I guess until you get into the situation, you don't know exactly how you're going to deal with it.
Now, Laval has had a terrific amount of success in the last 4 years since the program was introduced here. The first year, 1 win and 7 losses. And going through that improvement in 97, again in 98, to the best record ever, 6-2 this year, the program under head coach Jacques Chapdelaine has been absolutely terrific.
It really has. He's built a great program in a short amount of time, 1 game away from the Vanier Cup. He's not really sure what to expect from his team in this game. He's led by a sophomore quarterback in Matthew Bertrand, and it's going to be a wait and see for even Jacques Chapdelaine.
Yeah, I think the atmosphere is going to be terrific. So should the football game here at Laval University. The Churchill Bowl coming up right after the Atlantic Bowl concludes out there in Halifax.
On behalf of Bill
Should be interesting there, and it definitely is here. These Huskies, St. Mary's, with a late field goal leading Waterloo 10-7 at the half of the Atlantic Bowl. We'll be back with more after this. 7 for St. Mary's, leading the Waterloo Warriors here. The half of the Atlantic Bowl, an excellent half along the ground. Rod Smith and Jamie Bone back here in Halifax, and they think about the Vanier Cup. That's on everybody's minds. It's cliche-ish, I know, but there are a lot of other awards that will be handed out next week on a Thursday night awards dinner that is tradition. Let's take a look now at who the nominees are for those awards, beginning with the Rookie of the Year. It's the Peter Gorman Award. Sebastian Roy from Mount Allison here representing the Atlantic Conference. Francis Boivin from Laval. John Katsuni, interesting, a kicker from Wilfrid Laurier, had a great year, and Shane Munson from the Resurgent program, the Manitoba Bisons. Defensive player.
Josh Tavares from St. Mary's, who we're seeing in today's game this afternoon. Jason Casey from Concordia, who we saw in last year's Vanier Cup. Donnie Ruiz, Wilfrid Laurier, and Michael Tondre from Saskatchewan, a great linebacker there.
He's had a great year for the Huskies. Brad Chalmers in this game with St. Mary's, up for the J.P. Metras Trophy as a Rookie of the Year. Chalmers, 29 years of age. Of course, in his final year, Andre Trudel of Laval having an excellent year with the Rouge et Or, and for the MVP.
And the Heck Crichton Trophy, Blaine Scatcherd, the great quarterback out of Acadia. Phil Cote, Mr. Everything at Ottawa. Mike Bradley, of course, Waterloo, and Akbal Singh. I tell you, you can award it to any one of those guys. They'd be well-deserved. 2
quarterbacks, 2 running backs, and here are 3 of the 4 nominees for the TSN Russ Jackson Award. Olivier Lefebvre of McGill, Carlos Panara, of Alberta, and Ted Rutland of Mount Allison. A lot of hardware to be handed out next week. We'll be back with more after this. (10-7) St. Mary's at the half here at Husky Stadium in Halifax. And an interesting start to this game when the Waterloo Warriors lived along the ground as they were expected to do. Had a different wrinkle with a pass to finish things off here in this
Well, the first pass they threw in the game, Ryan Wilkinson drops back when they're deep in Husky territory, lays it up nicely to Chris Kribick, who goes up and does a nice job of battling the defender, and they get on the points on the board first.
They had a chance to get another touchdown in, but a good goal line stand ended up with a turnover.
This is a great job by St. Mary's defense. You know, they force Wilkinson down on 3rd down, and Curtis Nash becomes Johnny on the spot and makes the interception and snuffs out a Waterloo drive.
And then this, St. Mary's driving all the way downfield, cashing in right there with Travis Tyler.
It's a real nice job. They had Tyler split out wide to the right. They just threw a little quick into him, and he finds the end zone and puts St. Mary's on the board.
So that, in essence, from a turnover, and then another turnover, big one coming up here by Joseph Barbati, Jamie.
Oh, this is just a great job of coverage from a linebacker. Joe Barbati, man coverage, steps in front, and now he just runs away. But the impressive thing here, this is a great interception, but you don't even see Mike Bradley in this picture. He just kind of comes up here. And look how quickly he closes, but nonetheless, it puts St. Mary's in a great position in which to put more points on the board.
And then they do put more points on the board after setting up a field goal this way.
Well, with 10 seconds left, I think Waterloo thought that they were going to throw the football, and they kind of were back on their heels, and they put them back down on the 1-yard line. They got the field goal.
They took the field goal for the 10-7 lead, and these are the numbers at the half.
Well, you know, pretty even right now, except Waterloo, of course, with time of possession, but you know, yards rushing 125, that's well off their mark for the season, so St. Mary's defense is doing a good job.
They've done a very good job at that after some initial tremendous progress by Waterloo. We got a game, 10-7. Huskies have reason to be wearing the colors proud right now. A lot of football still to be played, though, and a lot of mud to slide down, right? 10-7, St. Mary's will be back with the second half after this. The indoors, making a little bit of noise, even though no one could hear it from there, I'm sure. Their Huskies are leading at the half. Here in the Atlantic Bowl, it's 10-7 over Waterloo. Getting set for the second half. How do the QBs stack up in this game? Ryan Jones and Ryan Wilkinson. 9 of 12 for Jones. Very efficient first half, although both have thrown interceptions. Not as good a half for Ryan Wilkinson.
No, not at all, and especially because the 2 interceptions led the points for St. Mary's.
One leading to a long touchdown drive, another one to a field goal in the last play of the half that has given St. Mary's this lead, and they're discussing things now at midfield. Running backs Bradley and Jones. Mike Bradley, I mean, he did have a good start, Jamie, but they've been able to contain him. And at midfield, there was some frustration on the part of Blake Nill beforehand. We believe it was because it was taking a while for Waterloo to get back out onto the field.
I think so. He felt that it was a bit unfair that his team was out here standing around waiting for Waterloo, and they were about 5 minutes late getting back out on the field.
Waterloo has the choice for the second half, and they will take the ball. And with the wind, such as it is right now, it has been swirling, and Waterloo will be kicking off. Look at Blake Hill now. Let's go back down to Alex Wallace.
Well, I think we just had too many penalties and didn't do what we can do, and that's run the ball. We started throwing the ball a little bit more and got ourselves a little bit of trouble. Hopefully it'll be a better second half.
Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome.
Coach Chris Piantafillo of Waterloo receiving St. Mary's to kick off against the Red.
You know, we had a good long talk with Coach T yesterday, and you know, really quite interesting because you know he was a player with Tuppy Knight at Laurier back in the early '80s. Then he joined the Waterloo coaching staff in '87, and you know he said he had long-term plans to eventually becoming the head coach. And he said, I knew that the only way that would happen is if I became an employee of the university.
Right.
So, you know, he did everything and anything at the university. I mean, he said he folded towels in the equipment room. And he
ran the Zamboni
for 3 years. And he said, you know, I had to swallow my pride a lot, but, you know, I had a long-term goal to be here, and this is where I am today.
And he knew the day would come when Tuppy Knight would not be coaching the Warriors anymore. That day came after the Churchill Bowl in 1997. They lost that game to Ottawa U. It was a good year for the Warriors, but Tuppy had coached his last game, so the job came open, and he knew that they would likely hire from the inside, which they did. They got a good coach.
And he said the biggest compliment that he had ever received was when he came out from his coaching interview, and I think the athletic director there said that, you know, Tuppy Knight had recommended you for the job. So,
now, as you've heard us struggling with the name Triantafillo, it's not as well known a name, I guess, but becoming better known. His sister goes to school at Western, and what do you suppose people were saying to her after they upset the Mustangs 2 weeks ago?
I think they knew her name pretty well.
They did. Are you any relation to that guy who coaches the Warriors? So a proud moment for the family as well. Jason Tibbett standing back for the Warriors to receive this kick from Jay Curry, the man who put the Huskies on top. At the end of the half, it is 10-7 for St. Mary's. 30 minutes to go for the right to play at Skydome next week in the national championship. St. Mary's bearing down quickly, of course, on the kickoff. That's their right to come right in and take the ball. So Waterloo lucky to get it. Tibbetts falling on it.
Now that's just a mental error right there. You know, they're kicking against the wind. He's not going to get the kind of distance. Plus, the wind is going to hold the ball up higher in the air, and they're just way out of position in which to catch this ball. I'm sure Chris T is trying to tell his team, wake up. We got to play 30 minutes of football.
It's Chris Weymouth moving in for 23 for that, but this Chris
come up a little
sees
more,
his team trailing by 3.
Got to come up a little bit more. You know, I think we should put in perspective, too, how good St. Mary's defense has played today because, you know, Bradley comes into this game, the last 2 playoff games, one against Western, he had 217 yards rushing. Last week against Laurier, 196, and they've held them to only 60 yards so far.
Bradley with the ball, 60 yards rushing in the first half. And that's progress against a guy that can kill you for as much as 200 yards in a game, and they stop him short there.
That's not only his yardage, but that's the kind of yards he's been averaging. He's only averaging 3.2 yards per carry today, well off his 7 yards per carry average.
Against the Mustangs 2 weeks ago, Bradley had over 200 yards rushing. He had another 196 and a couple more touchdowns. 5 touchdowns in the postseason and over 400 yards rushing for this guy, a Heck Crichton nominee, the MVP of the Ontario University Association in 1999. And on that carry, it's still 2nd down and 7, nowhere. Again, this rush defense of these Huskies. Mark Irwin in on that one again. And they'll be punting. Bradley going nowhere.
Well, St. Mary's is just so quick off the football right now. You know, you very seldom see this happen with Waterloo, Mike Bradley getting tackled deep in the backfield, but they're just firing those gaps and working upfield real quick.
And Irwin, not a starter in this game, but he has turned out to be a big part of the St. Mary's defense. He's had a couple of big plays.
Well, I think it's one of the strengths of St. Mary's, too, with all the recruiting that Blake Nell has done. They have tremendous depth, and they rotate guys in and out of the game to keep them fresh.
And that St. Mary's offense will get the ball back here in this second half after the punt by Tony Ria coming up. Taken down and going nowhere are the Huskies. That's Adam Gillen, who just falls on it after it falls through his hands right down at the 47. But good field position for St. Mary's to start after a 36-yard punt by Ria.
Well, St. Mary's really took control of this game in the second quarter. And I'm sure they're going to try to Add to that right now as Ryan Jones comes back out on the field, native of Waterdown, Ontario, just outside of Hamilton. In his third year with the Huskies.
And last year, one of the problems in a 4-on-4 season, Blake Mills first, was finding an identity at quarterback. Took some time. Jones and J.W. Thompson, the backup, but finally Jones became the guy and had a good year. Not a good gain, nothing for the other Jones as we try to keep up with them. That's Dean Jones taken for lost yardage on that first down play.
Well, they're trying to run counter again, and they just get mixed up here a little bit between Dean Jones and Ryan Jones and which way he's supposed to go. I think that's supposed to be an outside handoff. I think Dean Jones kind of tried to come inside.
He had a big play, as we showed you, late in the half to set up to get them down to the 1-yard line. Fooled Waterloo a bit, thinking they were in a passing situation very late in that half. It's 2nd down and 15 and the loss of 5. And they run a draw. And that time, Dean Jones has locked. Gone. Jones. Touchdown. Huskies. "65 yards. A flag is down, but it's late and was thrown after the touchdown. Reason to celebrate here in Halifax as Dean Jones has found the end zone early in the second half.
You know, Rod, what's impressive about this run is that, sure, he gets through the initial line of scrimmage, but all the blocking guys downfield, the receivers, are blocking downfield and knocking people down, and that's what springs Dean Jones. I mean, you see all sorts of blocks just out of your screen here. Now it's a foot race, and you're not going to catch him. I mean, that's what's impressed me so much about St. Mary's offense. You know, a lot of teams with their wide receivers playing out there, those guys think they're only out there to catch footballs. These guys in St. Mary's are downfield knocking people down. And so when a guy like Dean Jones gets through the line of scrimmage, he's got a long way to run.
In the last game, he had over 200 yards rushing. They have a ground game. For all the talk about Waterloo, St. Mary's has done an excellent job demonstrating that strength along the ground, especially with number 22. It has just added to the Husky lead. The convert attempt here by Jay Curry. Up and through, and it's now St. Mary's ahead by 10, 17-7 in the third quarter of the Atlantic Bowl.
All the way back there in the game,
They couldn't keep up with Dean that time, Jamie.
No, they certainly couldn't. And, you know, you're playing nose tackle here. You can't pick a side. Picks a side, gets caught in it. But what's impressive, you see these guys in your screen. I think you see Paul Fleming coming there, number 80, make a block back there. But all the wide receivers and the inside receivers for St. Mary's making key blocks down the field to spring Dean Jones.
There's a lot of football left to be played, but the St. Mary's Huskies, after falling behind 7-0, have 17 unanswered points, and are starting to take charge of this Atlantic goal on home field. Off the kickoff. Tibbetts, and a short return, for Chris Weymouth there for Waterloo. Once again, here is Alex J. Walling. Alex.
Thanks, and I've got a guy who had 65 galloping yards. Dean Jones, when did you realize you broke it?
Well, I didn't until I hit the end zone. I know that Waterloo's a fast team, and I just wanted to run as hard as I could until I crossed that yellow line.
What a momentum change from the first quarter. What's changed it?
I think guys just woke up a little, and we just came out here and started to play a little harder. Our old line's playing great. Got to keep going.
All right, congratulations, Dave.
Fired up, St. Mary's team, and it's showing on the other side of the ball as well. Is it ever? Stuffing the run again here on first down for Waterloo. Going nowhere. Eddie Kim, the carrier, and a two-play, 60-yard drive. Dean Jones taking it in, and a 10-point lead on that touchdown. And I wonder if they're watching in Irma, Alberta, where this game began. Early in the morning, 9 a.m. Mountain Time. One of the Albertans playing for this St. Mary's Huskies team. Wilkinson to air it out. Wants Krebick. Good coverage. Nash. Nash was there every step of the way, and this one goes incomplete.
That was real good coverage by Curtis Nash down there. He did not give up his inside position to Curtis Krebick. Rode him outside. Wouldn't allow Krebick to come back underneath. That was a good job.
The momentum really started to swing late in that first half after the Joe Barbati interception when it looked like Waterloo was driving for some points in the lead at the locker room, but it turned the other way. St. Mary's on the big pick picked up a field goal, and they have started the second half the way they ended the first. They have all the momentum, and it is really showing on defense as well. The Warriors to be punting again the second time already in this half. Tony Reha standing back inside his 15, down near his 10-yard line. So good field position is expected. Again, a high snap. He won't get it away. He'll try, nearly blocked, so he does get something. Taken very quickly by the Huskies. And they'll have excellent field position back near the line of scrimmage. Scott Matuli quickly took that line drive punt and hung onto the ball. Wow.
Yeah, that's a real mistake by Tony Reha. When he's down here on the goal line like that, you've got to go into the end zone, sit down, kneel down, and give up 2. You know, you put your defense in a real tough position now. And St. Mary's take over the ball on the 19-yard line.
Now, if Matuli hadn't caught that ball right away, it could have been Waterloo ball again. A net punt of -3, of course, after the snap going high over his head. Adam Gillen tries the right side on the sweep. Flags down. Still going. Gillen eventually taken down out of bounds. See what the flag is all about. Another good chance for St. Mary's to pull away in this ball game. It's all Huskies now. But St. Mary's to be called for holding here.
Holding, 61 St. Mary's. First down repeated.
And that'll be a 1st and 20 at the 30-yard line. Big Charlie Todd standing over center. Ryan Jones, quick hitch. Travis Tyler, he has a touchdown in this game, and he takes it and gets out of bounds after a good gain on 1st and 20. Past the original line of scrimmage.
That's a real nice design play here, Rod. They just have throw it outside. Now, once number 19, Patrick Tebow, he kind of walls off the corner there now, and then he just goes around and gets down the field. I mean, that's well executed. And, you know, and it's not a pick because he's blocking them once the ball has been caught. But they time it up so well.
Second down and 8. They pick up 12 of the 20 they needed on that play to Travis Tyler. Knocking on the door again with a 10-point lead. They run option, showing Waterloo their option play, and it picks up a few yards, but not enough for the first down. That one going to Dean Jones.
Jones brought down at the 15.
Yeah, St. Mary's are pulling out all the stops here. They're showing them everything. Make a counter option, come down the line here. Good pitch.
3rd and 5.
St. Mary's will attempt a field goal.
And see if they can pull ahead by 13 points. And what was once a very, very tight game. And the only thing about that Warrior offense, if they fall too far behind, Jamie, is you chew up a lot of clock with that ground game trying to come from behind. They would almost be forced to pass more often, which is not their game. This attempt coming from 23 yards away. Up and in, and a 13-point lead after another Husky field goal. Jay Curry. St. Mary's in control. 20-7, third quarter of the Atlantic Bowl in Halifax. 4:30 p.m. Pacific. Lots to cheer about now at Husky Stadium. Home of the Huskies, and making use of that right now. They've got a 13-point lead. This is an impressive turnaround for St. Mary's after looking shakier in the early going. Now it's Waterloo trying to get things back. Ryan Wilkinson rolling. Intercepted. Dennis Arruda. Another turnover goes St. Mary's way down to the Waterloo 37. It's starting to snowball now, and it's all Huskies.
And, you know, I'm a little surprised that Waterloo have kind of cashed out on the run game here and starting to throw the football. This is something they don't do extremely well. They didn't complete a pass against Western this year in the playoff game, and now they're trying to become a team that they are not. This is not a throwing team, and you can see they've already had 3 interceptions today, and that was a great one by Dennis Arruda. Coming down, they have all the receivers covered. There's nobody there. Wilkinson didn't get a chance to set his feet. And St. Mary's defense continues to come up with big play after big play.
And Wilkinson forced to wash from the sideline now as Dean Jones has another big game. He's got a big afternoon going after a 65-yard touchdown run. And there's Dennis Arruda, second-year art student from Hamilton. One for the memory.
And you know what's really now? Watch the linebackers at Waterloo. You know, these guys are becoming catchers right now. I mean, they're just standing there. There's no movement. They're not trying to get up. They're waiting for blocks to come to them. And when you look at St. Mary's defense right now, they are coming after people. Waterloo is playing very, very soft on defense right now.
And by contrast, this Husky team looking more and more fired up and confident, firing off the line with that big offensive line. Another good hole for Dean Jones to waltz through there on first down and get inside the 20. A 13-point lead and threatening to build on that. And early yet, too early to get that sniff of Toronto in the Vanier Cup, but it's becoming a more realistic possibility now.
And you can see how confident St. Mary's are right now. They're not even huddling anymore. They've got Waterloo back on their heels, and they're just continuing to come at them.
And second and short, about 2 yards for the Huskies. Jones again. And this time they wrap him up short of the first down. He had to get down to about the 16. Will not get there. But they'll come on and try the field goal again. If it is the Huskies here in Halifax, there would be a chance for an all-Husky Vanier Cup, just like back in 1990. But, of course, that's a tough Laval team, too, that Saskatchewan would have to get by. That one's coming up next, our Churchill Bowl with John Wells and Glenn Suter. Saint-Foy, Quebec, right here on TSN. Good day for football here in the Sports Network with this CIAU doubleheader and a tradition here on TSN. Now our 11th season doing it. Jay Curry will try the field goal. He's had 2 already. This one will be a 25-yard attempt. He's had them from 9 that originally put them ahead, and then most recently 22 yards away. Early movement and a flag is down. Several Warriors offside as the snap came through. However, were they drawn? That's the question.
That's procedure against St. Mary's. You're going to make them do it again.
And that's a big 5 yards. Back out to the 30 in the swirling wind. You never know. Sounds crazy, a 30-yard field goal, usually very makeable, but I could see it becoming more of a problem. Curry's had a good day so far kicking.
The penalty.
Procedure. Hey, Mary. Third down and repeat it.
We'll have to repeat the field goal try from 30 yards away now. Although the good news is that wind, we're in a calm spell right now. Every now and then it'll just pick up a little bit. Both of these teams have not been intimidated by the wind at all, however, and that includes the passing game. Such as it's been, they've had better luck, better efforts going against it. Kind of gusting crosswind now. And it's blocked. So it is a big turn of events there. Waterloo getting a hold of the football now and going backwards, now down to the 10, so they'll start deep in their territory. But the main thing is they do not give up 3 more points. That penalty is costly.
You know, I think that this is a real key play for Waterloo right now. They're going to get back in this football game. They've got to start to feed off of this kind of thing that their field goal defend team just did. They forced him. He had the field goal in this game. Now they forced him to kick it again. So you get the hands up. It was just a good block right there.
So it remains a 13-point game. Chris Triantafilou must be discouraged to see what's been going on so far this season. The run to the Atlantic Bowl, they only threw 4 times, no completions at all, and they didn't throw that. They had a lot more success, Jamie, in the H Cup.
Yeah, no question. I would hazard to get. I mean, that's an anomaly there. But they have to continue, I think, to run the football here and establish themselves again like they did in the first half. And they got to get the ball outside.
And they run there on first down. Ryan Wilkinson, 4 completions for 10 yards for 84 yards, 4 for 10. Tough afternoon so far in throwing the ball, but they definitely depend, as we saw in the early going, of getting the ground game going to set everything up.
And this is the kind of situation they want to find themselves in, second down and short. You know, this Waterloo team were down 14-0 to Western in the semifinal game and came back and won that one big time. But this is not a team that panics.
Straight up, that's what they need. Bradley to get him going again. A flag down, however. which might negate a long gain for Waterloo up across their 45.
And they're going to call number 9, and you see right in your screen there, Grant Beckler. And, you know, there's a big difference. And, you know, we talk about St. Mary's receivers being able to block downfield effectively. Waterloo don't do as good a job. And right here,
holding, number 9, after yards or gain, first down.
Second time Beckler's been called for a hold on a big gain.
Now, left-hand side of your screen. See, he's in there holding the jersey. You can't do that.
A similar situation in the first half where Bradley got freed up. And right at that point of infraction, it was key. So on first down, the 22, Waterloo goes to work. Bradley with the ball, but this time trying the left side up the middle and gets next to nothing. Doug Borden is in there.
When Waterloo have had any success today really running the football, it's been running it outside, forcing them to try and play option. And St. Mary's have done a great job so far doing it, but you know, the whole premise of that offense is that someone somewhere will have a mental lapse on defense and that will spring a big one. But they haven't really forced St. Mary's to continue to do that.
5:11 on the clock until three-quarter time here in Halifax. And at some point in time, if they continue to trail this much, you wonder if they do go to the air more often. Along the ground, and Eddie Kim has nothing doing. A flag down after the fact, but St. Mary's has done a very good job closing the door up front and inside.
And you know, Waterloo is losing their discipline right now because I think that's a penalty against Waterloo, or actually maybe it isn't. Maybe it's against St. Mary's. But you know what? St. Mary's are content right now to have Eddie Kim run the football.
Piling on, number 21. First down.
So a good break for the Warriors there with an unnecessary roughness penalty and a piling on play.
It's Chris Fates, number 21.
First down Waterloo from their own 41.
Also a backup receiver.
Let's go, defense! Stay! Stay!
Darryl Parby, one of the leaders on that Warrior team, number 46. Shouting out some instructions from the sideline. They fake the handoff to Kim. Wilkinson keeps it on the option, has a good gain. First down Warriors on the move on the ground now across midfield, and Waterloo is starting to regain something here, but another flag rests on the turf here at Husky Stadium. Could it be costing Waterloo another big gain? And it appears to be so. A lot of penalties on this drive in this second half. And this is going against Waterloo again.
Nothing worse than a holding penalty.
For the holding, Waterloo number 9, after yards of gain, first down.
And it is Beckler again. He's having a tough time of it. Third time. I think they've repeated, but it is the third time that he has been called and negated a big play for his team. So they're keeping an eye on him, obviously. Ball at the 45. And a first down. Warriors, though, demonstrating some ability. Look at the penalty stats. Some ability to run the football. Sporadically, however, whenever they try anything inside, it seems, it's nothing doing the way everything has been closed down.
Now, their linebackers are doing such a great job of reading recognition right now and getting hard up into the gaps. It's really quite impressive to see them do it because, you know, you think of all the time that they would have spent this week trying to learn a new offense to defend against. I mean, to defend against a new offense. They've done a remarkable job.
You saw Chris trying to fill talking over to defensive players and the obvious importance now, regardless of what they do here, touchdown, field goal, or nothing, of having that Warrior defense solidify and stop St. Mary's from doing anything else so they can get the ball back. With the win, Wilkinson throwing, Trevick over his head, and his legs are cut out just at the end by Curtis Nash.
And that's a good call because the ball was uncatchable. And the referee made the right decision. The ball was over his head. He had to go way up. He didn't even touch it. See, the ball kind of gets away from Wilkinson here. He had him open. It's way behind him. He had no chance, and that's a good call by the official. Keep that flag in your pocket.
And so that Waterloo defense will be tested again in the late minutes of the third quarter. Punting unit on for the Warriors. A game that has been taken control of by the St. Mary's Huskies, leading it 20-7 right now, the last punt. a nightmare for Rio when the snap went high and he ran around and didn't manage to get it away. Man down, as you see to the right of your screen there. It's Josh Tavares, number 6 for St. Mary's.
Well, you know, it looks right now like they only have one man back, Curtis Nash. It looks like St. Mary's kind of in a punt block mode. This would not be good.
Well, Tavares and these Huskies hoping to make the next step to the Vanier Cup. They're in control now. If they should, they'll play either Saskatchewan or Laval. That game coming up after this one, the Churchill Bowl. And you can see the Vanier Cup again, number 35. Right here on TSN. Number 25 was the first one at Skydome, and the first time we broadcast a Vanier Cup for you, and proud to be a part of it again from Skydome, 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific time. Well, the Warriors like to think that they still have a good chance to get back into this game. It's Huskies right now as they help out the injured linebacker Josh Tavares. He slowly limps off to that Husky sideline.
It's a huge loss for the Huskies if he cannot come back in this game. He's their leading tackler in this football team, all conference, the nominee for Defensive Player of the Year out of the AUAA out of Pickering, Ontario.
2 major trophy nominees coming from St. Mary's. The other one, Brad Chalmers, representing the Atlantic Conference for the Metros Trophy, their left tackle. On offense, Tavares off now, and punting situation for Waterloo. Reha standing at his 32. One man back, just one. That's Curtis Nash, number 12, who had a big return after a missed field goal. Direct snap, Bradley. And he won't have the first down. Triantavillo gambles, and it does not pay off. And so the Huskies take over in Waterloo territory. They tried the direct snap to Bradley. He needed 8 yards and didn't get close to that. In fact, hardly gained anything.
Remember we were saying earlier they only had Curtis Nash back, so St. Mary's, it looked like they were in kind of a punt block mode. This kind of play works best when teams want to return the ball because they usually hit and they try to peel off and they're not very aggressive. So really it was a bad call against that type of defense, what St. Mary's was going to try and do.
And there is another injured player down on the field, this time for the Warriors, getting some attention right now. But they gambled, and it did not pay off. And so the Huskies, with a 13-point lead, will have good position to work with inside the Warrior 50.
Here is the number.
So looking for the number of the Warrior player who is down right now.
4-0.
This looked like Waterloo's game in the early going, and not so much by the scoreboard. The most they ever led was 7-0, but they had a lot of control along the ground.
0-4-3.
Last week in the Yates Cup game, this is what happened against Wilfrid Laurier when they tried the fake punt.
All right, they gave it off to Bradley again, and he got the first down.
And when it works one time, you got to try it again.
But, you know, it wasn't real clean against Laurier either. I mean, he should have been stopped back there.
But Bradley is a way of making you miss, and
he does.
This was a time that they needed him to get something badly. They did. So St. Mary's finds itself in a position of little ground attack and some clock control here, clock management. They could whittle off the remaining 3 minutes of this third quarter and head into the fourth with a 13-point lead at least. It is Bradley himself who is the injured player. And nice to see that he's getting off on his own steam. And boy, they need that guy down the stretch to have a chance here in this game. Last 3 drive starts for the Warriors. For St. Mary's, the last 3 times they've started a drive has all been in Waterloo territory, from their 20, their 36, and their 48. This one from the 48-yard line after the turnover on downs. And running to the outside is number 25, Karche Shields. And he gets close to another first down for St. Mary's. Inside the 40. Huskies on the move right away.
You know, right now, again, you know, I keep coming back to it, but the linebackers at Waterloo are playing off, and they're just kind of going laterally down the line. They're not moving up the field at all to try and force anything at all in the backfield, or even at the line of scrimmage. They're kind of content to let the ball carrier get 5 or 6 yards and make a tackle, and you're not going to win very many football games allowing that to happen.
Under 3 minutes now. Still three-quarter time at Husky Stadium. St. Mary's football. And at this point in time, St. Mary's ball game to lose. Handing off. On first down, it's Luis Perez. He's been injured, has a left ankle injury, has not been as busy as he had been earlier in the season. Rushed for over 600 yards. A couple of 200-yard rushing games during the regular season for St. Mary's. Was the feature back for a while, and late in the season it became more Dean Jones, partially because of the injury to Perez. Missed last week, but in this week, and on that carry, it's short, about a yard, and second down and 9. The Huskies haven't been to a Vanier Cup since they were shut out by Queens 31-0 in 1992. It's been 7 years. Waterloo has never been there. There's a lot of work to do if they're going to get there in 99. Off the handoff. Warriors have Perez red that time too, so not nearly enough for the first down to about the 32, 33-yard line. St. Mary's in a third and long situation now, and special unit is coming out. The question is it punting or is it field goal team? I would think it'd be punting.
I think it is going to be punting, and I think he will punt the ball away here. I think he wants to keep Waterloo penned in their own end. They're struggling trying to move the ball on offense. St. Mary's thinks they can win that war of attrition. If they stop them too, get the ball back, they'd be in good field position again.
It would be a 40-yard field goal try, but Jay Curry's best this year has been 35, 33, 35, around that area. And so it's a safer move to have the better coverage on a punt. And it's a high punt, not too deep. Barely makes it to the end zone. Taken by Mike Laporte. And Laporte gets it out. About a 5-yard return on that play. For a 33-yard punt, it is 20-7. St. Mary's getting late in the third quarter. Crazy kids with their painted faces cheering on St. Mary's with a 13-point lead here in the third quarter. Once again, here's Alex J. Waller.
I've got Dr. Kenneth Osmond. Newfoundland had a song called 21 Years. You've been here 21 years. You're resigning.
Yeah.
Give me your memory of a Vanier Cup.
Well, my memories of Vanier Cup haven't been that great so far, but I'm looking forward to the next one if we make it.
An Atlantic Bowl memory.
Atlantic Bowl, I'll tell you, my number one memory is seeing Anthony Williams catch that pass against Western in the end zone. That was wonderful.
Thank you, Doctor. That's TSN's number 10 all-time play. Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you, Alex. Yeah, some fond memories. Look at Larry Utek, the former coach of the St. Mary's Huskies, and the great moments that they have had.
Now you take a look at this replay here on the catch. Now Mike Laporte catches that in the end zone. He's smart to do that because under CIAU regulations, any kick into the end zone except the kickoff, if you get it, it comes out to the 20-yard line.
So Waterloo has the ball at their 20, behind by 13 on the option. Wilkinson keeps. They have him red, and he is taken down for next to nothing. Second down and long. St. Mary's has progressively done a lot better work on that option, Jamie.
They've done a real nice job, and you know, when you think of, you and I talked about it before the game today, that one of the problems that Waterloo was going to have is that they didn't have any tape at all on St. Mary's, and they had no clue what they were going to try and run defensively as well. So it hindered their preparation as well in terms of who to block.
You're not going to pick up this guy. He's your hot read. If he comes, you got to throw the ball, all right?
Big Charlie Todd, the center for St. Mary's, in the middle of that meeting of the offense and what they will do the next time they get the football. Right now it's their defense on. Looking for another interception. That one floated up with the wind. So Ryan Wilkinson intended for Krebick, but it falls incomplete. It is third down again, and the Warriors will be punting again.
You know, it's too bad we don't have a stat, but I'm sure there is one somewhere that says if Waterloo throw the ball 20 times in a game, I bet you they've lost those games. Because they do not like to throw the football if they don't have to. And right now, he's getting up to 12 attempts, and we're still in the third quarter.
Well, we're in the third quarter, but we're closing in on the fourth, and I'm just wondering, down by 13, at what point, to you, in terms of minutes left, if you're down by 13, do you absolutely have to start passing?
Well, I'm surprised that they're doing as much as they are now, because you know, they've really kind of abandoned the option that they were running.
And yet St. Mary's has forced them into doing that. Here's another shaky snap. That one going low this time, but the punt gets away, no problem. And a pretty good bounce, too. No yards could be called, though. A flag is out indeed for it on that return. Going nowhere, but they'll get some yardage. Chris Fates on the return. 37-yard punt. We got boxing tonight on TSN. If you missed Holyfield Lewis, their second meeting in Las Vegas last Saturday night, we'll show it to you. A network premiere, 9:30 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. Grant and Galata as well. That undercard. Smiling faces. Reason to smile right now because the St. Mary's Huskies, with zeros on the clock, 1 play to go in this quarter. Chris Brianopillo not smiling right now.
You know, Waterloo were penalized for no yards, and you know, I personally think that's one rule in Canadian football that has to be changed. Maybe make it 10 yards or 5 yards, but it shouldn't be 15.
Ryan Jones under center. Takes the handoff and throws, and it's caught. And still in bounds is Jason Curry down outside the 20-yard line. And throwing against the slight breeze. Picking up the first down. It's marked down at the 24. St. Mary's on the move again. Up by 13 to head to the fourth quarter. Warriors with some work to do. 20-7, St. Mary's. We'll be back after this. After 3 quarters in Halifax, the number that matters most is a 13-point lead for St. Mary's. Here are some of the other ones, too, Trey.
Well, if you would have told me at the beginning of the game that St. Mary's would outrush Waterloo at the end of the third quarter, I'd kind of look at you with a stunned look on my face.
This is incredible, too. And an annual performance.
The Hill Surfers.
Yeah, the Hill Surfing. It's a right of... Oh, fumble. We got a fumble. No. There we go. It's recovered now.
We need some water.
Some of them are carrying the football down. Others just choosing to go down without it. The fourth quarter begins. And St. Mary's is in the driver's seat to return to the big dance. Looking for more here. End zone. Well, there was a run-in. There's no flag down. No interference called on that coverage by Waterloo. Falling incomplete, and some fans are letting the officials have it right now. Patrick Thibault, the intended receiver, and Mike Laporte in on the coverage.
No, I think that's a good call. It's incidental contact, both looking back for the ball. They try to run the quick out and up, laid the ball there, and then both of them went down, no play in the football, so it's a good call, or a good non-call by the official.
Second down. 10 to go. Shotgun. Ryan Jones, wide open. Jason Curry drops the ball, gets it back, and it's a first down still for St. Mary's. Good break for the Huskies after Curry coughed it up.
They're really spreading Waterloo's defense out now. They got all sorts of room in here. Jason Curry, and then they strip the ball, but he gets back on the football again. And a first down to boot. Good job by Jason Tibbetts to get his hand in there.
And actually a third down, Jamie. I thought it was first as well. The way it's spotted is about a yard and a half, 2 yards shy. It'll be third down. And Curry stays in, obviously, with his other role, that of being the kicker. A couple of field goals in this game. And this one, he spotted it around the 22-yard line. And a critical field goal, too, because it would put them two-point converted touchdowns ahead, if you will, 16 points.
Right, this is a huge field goal.
It would take the full complement by Waterloo to get back and tie it. It would take 2 TDs, both with 2-point converts, if he makes this field goal. Adam Gillen putting it down from the 22. Wide right. Wide to the right. Warriors don't need to run it out. They can have it. At the 20. It's taken down. Another Warrior slow to get up back at the point of the kick. So the field goal goes wide, so it stays a 13-point game. And at that end, we've had two.
Actually, there's 1 point awarded there.
Or a single point awarded. Of course, we didn't get out of the end zone. A 21-7 game, 14-point game.
But Blake Neal wanted that field goal.
Of course, and the ball out to the 35. After this game, the Churchill Bowl coming up in Saint Croix, Quebec. Saskatchewan Huskies, defending national champions. They won it all in 90 and 96 and 98. They're trying to get back and take it in 99, but there's a very good Laval team. Hasn't been in the CIAU very long, but making its presence felt. Laval losing to Concordia in a game that ended up being played over the course of 2 days because of darkness. Last year in the Dunsmore Cup, a game we did. Very unusual finish. Nadal denied there, but winning it all this year. Nice catch on the sideline for Waterloo. Wilkinson making the completion there, and it is Beckler on the receiving end for the Warriors.
Get outside. This is something that you said earlier that they don't really like to do. Nice job of keeping his feet in bounds. He only need 1 foot in bounds, but he goes up real nice and high. Good catch. Second down and short.
And how much more will we see the Warriors putting it in the air now, something they're not accustomed to, under 13 minutes to go in the Atlantic Bowl on a 2nd and 2 at their 43. Hunkered down, but passing. Going deep. Watch Krebick. Coverage is there, but the catch is there as well. A big play through the air again for Krebick, and one-on-one coverage, Jamie, but he's winning those.
Again, so, again, we talked about the mismatch there with Curtis Nash, only 5'7". You got Krebick 6'2". Nash just gets lost. He looks to the inside, and that's the proper thing to do when the ball's underthrown, but...
So that has clearly been working. I mean, the opportunities there, even when the ball hasn't been. It was there then for a 29-yard gain. Is that going to be your bread and butter down the stretch?
Well, maybe that's what they're going to start to do, is maybe try and get Krebick one-on-one.
Krebick and Beckler come back, and they get a running start. They start about 7 yards behind the line of scrimmage. Here's Wilkinson scrambling, finding Beckler. Can't hang on to it. Aruda was in the coverage there. Looked like a catchable football, but down it goes. It'll be 2nd down.
And I got to catch those footballs in tight games like that, especially ones that are put right on the money. Looked like Wilkinson was going to try and run here. He had a bit of a seam, but he saw Beckler open, and I think Beckler saw number 7, Dennis Aruda, coming into his sights. Took his eye off the ball at the last moment.
It looked like Wilkinson had a number of choices that he could have gone to, including taking off and running. Got an injured Husky down in the field. It's Doug Borton, the big defensive tackle. The Huskies now up by 14, 21-7. You're watching the Atlantic Bowl on TSN. And also Molson Nets Hockey post ceremonies wrap up as well. We've got it all covered for you. That's to the national network, and then regionally in Montreal, we've got the Canadians and the Anaheim Mighty Ducks from Southern California, 10:30 p.m. Eastern. You're on TSN. Big day, a great day for the Great One coming up on Monday, and it's shaping up to be a great day for the St. Mary's Huskies here in the 4th quarter. Waterloo football on the option. Wilkinson keeps it. And a good gain on 1st down as he rolls to within a couple of moving the sticks there on 2nd down, and he needed the full 10 yards. He gets close to it, and I would think at this juncture, Jamie, they'd be going for it anyway.
Yeah, I think they're going to go for it here.
3rd down and about 1.5 yards.
Down by 14. Good job of Wilkinson to try and get yards. Does the old hit and spin. It's posted to first, but down short by about 1.5 yards. Put in the short yardage offense. Well, we haven't seen them run option out of this kind of look, this full house backfield look here. We've seen them throw out of this look. We haven't seen them go outside at all.
Another big play. 3rd down. Bradley, no! They'll turn it over on downs, bring on that St. Mary's offense. They have the ball. And on a series of plays throughout this game that could ultimately be decisive. Here's one of them, Jamie.
This game is decided in the trenches, and I'll tell you what, Waterloo are getting their behinds handed to them right now by St. Mary's. They're just smacking them, hitting them harder. I mean, that's just... I'm just really impressed by the linebackers of St. Mary's, how quickly they get off and they recognize and they get into the gaps. They're a very well-coached football team.
They're just over 11 minutes away from moving on to the Vanier Cup next week in Toronto. St. Mary's football on 1st down. Straight up for Luis Perez, the ball carrier. Picks up about 4 or 5 yards for the Huskies. More discussion now. Blake Nill running that defense. Defense that has proved to be excellent ever since giving up that first touchdown.
No.
In the 1st quarter, Waterloo had a 7-0 lead in this game.
Here's what happens, right? On the slide.
So it's 3-1, right?
So it's 3-1.
So why are you robot?
Safety. Or batting guy. No, but listen.
Blake Nill, he was defensive coordinator with St. FX when they went to the Vanier in '96. Good defense then. On the option, they run it. And not much is doing. Luis Perez wobbling the ball a little bit there. A little risky.
Sorry, Rod. I'm kind of surprised they're running this look right now where, you haven't seen them run it all game, and then you're trying to get a little cute, and they got lucky there because Perez bobbled the ball, and
if you lost that football, it could be 6 for Waterloo. So
Weymouth is right there to put the hit on him.
Jason Curry standing back at his 15 to punt this away. As we, from our vantage point, which is the vantage point you see right now, that's like our eyes. The wind is blowing right into our face, so he will have a bit of a wind at his back, kind of a crosswind, although not that far a punt. And St. Mary's will have to watch out for no yardage. To tack on another 15 for the Warriors. That's at the midfield stripe, so they will start.
No yards indicated.
Down at the 40-yard line of the St. Mary's Huskies. For a 28-yard punt only. Personalities and characters, such as the late owner of the Toronto Maple Leafs, Harold Ballard. Got it for you. 100 years of Canadian sport. It's at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 4:30 p.m. Pacific time. Been a great series running on our air. 100 years of Canadian sport. Episode number 11. Here's one of the personalities of the game. We don't know his name, but he's dressed appropriately. He's dressed appropriately, isn't he? Wow. They're inventive, and they're happy, and I'm sure they're even happier because St. Mary's is leading. First and 10, Huskies actually at the 44. The ball carrier into that pile that didn't go very far. It's the same old story. It's Eddie Kim this time.
And I think what Blake Neal was talking about on the sidelines was St. Mary's now for the first time I've seen them go. They're playing a zone defense now. They're not playing man coverage anymore. They're going to play zone.
The big play, right?
They don't want to give up the big play right now. They got a safety in there playing safety. They're going to give Curtis Nash some help over the middle. They just don't want to give up anything cheap right now. Time is their ally. So a good coaching move by Blake Neal. You see standing right just to his left is Paul Furlan. He's one of his players.
Sure, Neil coached him. He was one of the stars, one of the leaders on that St. FX team in '96. Neil got the job replacing Larry Utek 1998 last year. He brought over a contingent.
And Gord Beatty, the other one, offensive line coach from St. FX, came.
And the X-Men, that defense held the Saskatchewan Huskies to 10 points only in the first 3 quarters before they finally exploded. And how's that for surprises right now? You talked about it earlier, the difference in rushing yardage. And maybe had we followed the St. Mary's team a little more closely, it wouldn't be as shocking given the great running backs they have had, especially Dean Jones. That catch by Threavitt goes for a first down for the Warriors, passing a lot more often than I'm sure they'd care to with the clock ticking down to under 9 minutes.
And that's a pretty good adjustment by Waterloo right now. They recognize zone. They're not going to try and get the ball deep, but they've got help deep now, so they start to take the underneath stuff that St. Mary's is going to give you. St. Mary's right now, time is on their side, and they're just going to force Waterloo to make some plays. Consistently.
Blake Neal mentioned he was at the Vanier in '96, but only one of his players has Vanier experience. Oh, they've got him again. And that is the veteran Brian Carter. Bradley goes right to him, and Carter takes him down.
Nice. He does a great job of shedding a block by Eddie Kim, the fullback. His job is to make sure that nothing gets outside of him, and he does a real good job here shedding off the block of Eddie Kim and then turning back and making a tackle. That's a big-time play. Bring it on.
Carter, one of 3 to play in the Atlantic Bowl, and St. Mary's previous experience in that in 1994. Wilkinson to pass. Under pressure. Matuli almost had him. He's running away from Carter, and he's gone about 30 yards back from the line of scrimmage. Gets it away. Wide open. As Selleck, he has it. Big play, Waterloo. Selleck with the ball, a first down inside the 20. And Ryan Wilkinson certainly earned that one.
He did this all on his own because, when you have linemen chasing you in the back here, I'm really disappointed in the Waterloo offensive line. Look at 62. He's not hustling back there to hit anybody. And I tell you, he threw it in the only place that it wouldn't get picked off. And that was right into Reza Selleck's hands. But, if you're an offensive lineman from Waterloo, you've got to peel back hard and take pressure off your quarterback. And
there's still lots of time. The Warriors know
This is a real gutsy play right here to turn it around, but when he peels back, you've got 3 St. Mary's defenders chasing him right now. They should be able to get picked off by the offensive line if they hustle down the field.
A great maneuver there by Wilkinson, and then rolling to his left.
Throwing to his left with a right-handed quarterback. And you can see the kind of athlete he is, and
not giving up, and nor should he. Still just under 8 minutes. Lots of time if they can get their passing game going. That's the concern. Living along the ground at this point in time, the way it would kill the clock, pretty difficult when you're 2 touchdowns down. But they're throwing, having some success with it too. And down inside the 20-yard line of St. Mary's. On the option, they go to the first choice, and that is Big Eddie Kim with a big gain. Another first down for the Warriors inside the 10. First and goal for Waterloo.
This is the most explosive I've seen Eddie Kim run today, but boy, he gets into that hole and gets his shoulders up, covers the football. You know, he's fumbled 5 times this year. He's making sure he's not going to leave the ball on the carpet. And now Waterloo are in striking distance.
They need to get in here, though. That's a pretty safe assumption, wouldn't you say? 7:15 on the clock. Offense has been pretty well stalled since the first quarter. It's first and goal from the 5. But a big set of downs right now for Waterloo. Down by 14 on the option. The toss. Bradley. Mike Bradley. Touchdown, Warriors. And they're back in this game midway through the 4th quarter.
You know, Josh Tavares had a shot at him, and he just watched him go in the end zone and just shook his head. He just could not believe the quickness of Mike Bradley to get away from this tackle. This looks like it's stuffed right here. Watch number 6 to the right of your screen when they pitch it off here. He goes right to the pitch back. He's got him. He didn't even touch him. 99 out of 100 backs are tackled back there for a loss. Mike Bradley takes it in for 6.
And the clock showing 6:57, just under 7 minutes. Some new life breathed into the Waterloo Warriors with a convert could be down by a converted touchdown.
And how big does that missed field goal loom now for St. Mary's?
Absolutely. Tony Rehak. It's up, and it's through, and it's a 7-point game. 21-14. Triantafillos, Waterloo Warriors, still down, but in it. Got an Atlantic Bowl. Winner goes to the Vanier. You can't assume who the winner is yet. Bradley takes it in for 6. We'll be back. Down by 7 and kicking off, and Chris Fates bobbling it down at his 20, but picks it up. And tries the left side. Fates a good return man for St. Mary's this year and gets it up to the 35, where the Huskies will try to kill some clock right now and get a long drive. Once again, Alex J. Walling.
I've got Mike Bradley. Mike, over the last 5 years, 4 of those games have come down to 1 minute. You've made the game interesting.
Well, yeah, we knew we were in this game all along. We're not going to give up. We've been in this position before, and we're not willing to give up. We'll take it right to the last minute of the game and all the way.
Has the strategy changed, having to pass a little bit more because you're down in the 4th, Mike?
I don't think so. I mean, we're seeming to be able to do both things quite well right now. We're just getting comfortable with our offense, starting to make things click.
What a highlight from your quarterback with that Fran Tarkenton approach.
Oh, that's a typical play from Ryan. Ryan's a tremendous athlete like that, so that's a big play for us, and that helped us set up the touchdown, definitely.
Good luck, Mike.
Thank you.
From one big play to another, Patrick Tebow on the receiving end from Ryan Jones, and all of a sudden, St. Mary's has gone from its 35 down to the 33 on a 42-yard pickup.
And the question is, where's the safety? I mean, there's nobody in the middle here. They got post open all day, and there's nobody near them. Mike Laporte normally plays back there, but that's the rule. Don't let anybody get behind you.
So St. Mary's looking to assume control of this game again, and they keep it along the ground for short yardage on that first down. Dean Jones, the ball carrier, the 2nd and long, gain of about 2 there for the Huskies, but a big play to get them down in deep in Warrior territory and see if they can even get a field goal would require Waterloo to get 2 more scores to get back into this game. It stands now 7 points behind Waterloo, running out of time, needing the ball back. 5:41 on the clock here at Husky Stadium. Out of the shotgun, Ryan Jones trying to set up screen. Instead, looks to the right, hit as he gets it away. End zone, just out of bounds. Wind pushed it out a little bit as well, and he was just about to be taken down. Got rid of it in the nick of time. Jason Curry was the intended receiver there for St. Mary's.
Now Ryan Jones just got it off in time because there's a whole host of Warriors pursuing him. Had a great afternoon so far, 13 of 18, 160, 1 touchdown, only 1 interception.
What really strikes you about him, and you talked about it earlier, the efficiency during the regular season, 11 touchdown passes, and only 3 of them picked off.
And, the other thing we were talking about earlier is that, a lot of points are scored on turnovers. Look at St. Mary's points today. They had, the field goal and obviously the touchdown scored on turnovers. St. Mary's have fumbled the ball once this season. Once in 9 games.
That's extraordinary.
It is extraordinary. And he only had 3 interceptions, so they're not giving teams an opportunity to score on them from turnovers.
The field goal attempt for Curry with a bit of a breeze at his back from 37 away. Wide right. Had the distance. And it is taken out. Jason Tibbetts carrying it out there. Curry's attempt.
You can see Blake Nill still very concerned, thinking we had chances to put this game away. 2 field goals, and we've missed them both.
Who will play in the Vanier Cup? We still don't know here who will represent the Atlantic Bowl. The Churchill Bowl coming up next. Saskatchewan looking to get back there again against Laval Rouge or Laval home field. And a raucous crowd, we are told. We'll find out coming up next with John Wells and Glenn Suter. The second half of our doubleheader.
Now it's kind of interesting, Rod, because the last series St. Mary's went and played zone and they got scored upon. I thought they might come out and play man again, but they're back playing zone one more time.
Ryan Wilkinson flagged down, could be holding Warriors as he's taken down. Takes off and is caught pretty hard there by Mark Irwin. Flag came down as he was standing in the pocket.
And they still don't have to throw the ball here. I mean, they're going to probably have
holding, 51, first down repeat.
It's Ramsey Rissick called the left guard on the holding. It pushes the Warriors back even more. First down and 20. And that one spotted even deeper around the 10-yard line.
To the left of your screen. Ramsey Rissick, the left guard.
Chris Triantafillo shaking his head, and a nail-biter now. They're down a touchdown, 4:18 in the clock. But a lot of real estate to cover. Going to try to cover a lot of it here. One-on-one, Krevic again. Goes up with it and comes down with it.
Wow.
Locked in coverage again on Curtis Nash, and they say he caught it.
I mean, they seem to have that play anytime they want it, and they're just playing zone now. I mean, he's backed off. Wilkinson threw the ball up, but again, you got a mismatch in height right here. Looks like they both came down with it. So when they get in trouble, they just launch it high outside and let Chris Krevic. I think he had it, and then actually Nash took it away from him when he was on the ground.
Complete again to Krevic. Going to him. It's been paying off for Waterloo, and it does again inside the St. Mary's 40. So 2 quick passes, quick first downs, just under 4 minutes to go. Lots of time for the Warriors here down by 7.
See, and now they don't have to throw. I mean, throwing the ball has been successful for them now, but great catch. Ball's going behind him. He goes up high.
Waterloo is a passing team now. Dare we say it. Team that has feasted on the ground all year, although has had big plays through the air before. That's on the ground. And St. Mary's, once again, is not biting on anything. Mark Irwin in there to stop Eddie Kim right away. No gain. 7 catches, 164 yards, and a touchdown. The first touchdown for the Warriors in this game.
Just having a great afternoon.
And what a great finish we might be in store for here in Halifax. The Atlantic Bowl down to 3 minutes. Wilkinson passing to Krevic again. Shy of a first down, however. It gets down to about the 35.
And Wilkinson's hurt. Hurt his knee.
Taken down after throwing, and little Gimpy getting up and trying to walk it off.
You know, that should have been a flag thrown there, I think. You can't touch a quarterback once the...
And especially rolling in the way he did. That's the 29-year-old veteran, Brad Chalmers, for St. Mary's. He was a part of the Husky team that played in the 1990 Vanier. Took several years off from football and decided to come back with Blake Mill as the head coach. It is third down. 3rd and 5, Warriors. They're going for it. They're down by 7, under 3 minutes to go in the Atlantic Bowl. And the crowd is really showing some life now, cheering their Huskies on. Wilkinson. Pass. No good. And Wilkinson slowly getting up again, but they turn over the ball on downs.
They've been battling all day, these two, Krivic and all. Defender number 12, Curtis Nash. This time Nash times it perfectly. Boom, gets in there with that right hand and knocks the ball away. What a big play. Wilkinson takes another shot. Chalmers in the knee again. That one inadvertent.
Curtis Nash had an interesting day. Sure, he's been beat a couple of times by Kravic, but he had a key interception in the end zone that snuffed out a Waterloo drive. He had a big kick return that ultimately led to points for St. Mary's, and then he had that on a critical 3rd down that ends Waterloo's drive, and they're a touchdown shy right now. And St. Mary's has the football, looking to kill some clock. Play action fake over the middle for Paul Fleming, and Fleming couldn't hang on.
I got to ask this question. What is St. Mary's doing right now? Time is their ally. You do not stop the clock with less than 3 minutes to go by throwing the football right now. You know, this is what Waterloo wants you to do, because first of all, if it's incomplete, it stops the clock. Plus, you got a chance to get a turnover here.
A good point.
Now, I'm sure Blake Nill's probably over there talking to his offensive coordinator right now, saying the exact same thing, I would hope.
Leaves it in the hands of Steve Samara, who's assistant with him here in St. FX. Samara's offense has been a good one today, but yeah, now they keep it along the ground. Of course, they'll be punting after this, so the clock will stop again.
Now, Waterloo should call a timeout here, I think, right now, and control the clock on offense. Because, you know, St. Mary's only burned 10 seconds off in that series turnovers. That really didn't hurt Waterloo that much in terms of time.
2:32 on the clock right here at the stadium. And some nervous times here for the coaches. Triantafilo, nil, a 7-point game, a shot at a national championship.
And now Curry's looking at the clock, so he'll let it tick down.
The punt by Curry is a beauty. Best of the day by far. Nice high spiral chasing Tibbetts back inside his 30. He goes nowhere after that.
And what great coverage by St. Mary's. I mean, that's incredible. He outkicked that coverage, it looked like, by about 10 to 15 yards.
Good punt. And a good score so far for Nils Huskies late in the 4th quarter.
Dean Jones, 14 carries, 133 yards, 1 touchdown. Mike Bradley only averaging 4 yards per carry, well below his season average.
And there's Bradley. He had the touchdown to get them back in it. 18 yards only in the second half, but some big yardage there. A lot of it's up to Ryan Wilkinson now under pressure. Stays away from it. Still on his feet. Wilkinson gets rid of it. Selleck, no good. They say he was out of bounds. He caught the ball. But Wilkinson just did a good job eluding the pressure to get anything away.
Nice job. Good call. Nice try. Made the catch, but he was just on the stripe.
11 for 21, over 200 yards, but 3 interceptions that have really cost the Warriors in this game. 2:05 on the clock. 2nd down and 10 coming up. For Triantafilo's Waterloo team trying to come back. They were down by 14. They're down by 7 now. An exciting finish in store at this Atlantic Bowl. as Wilkinson rolls out. Swings it out for Bradley. Too far ahead of him. It'll be 3rd and 10 Warriors. And they'll be punting into the wind. Assuming they're punting.
Yeah, I think they're going to punt. That's the right move with 2 minutes left. If they can hold St. Mary's and use their timeouts, they should be able to get the ball back. With just about a minute left to go in the game. St. Mary's should be able to work some time off the clock.
Once the power of the Maritimes, the Huskies looking to return to that stature. They already have by winning the championship, but to get back to the Vanier Cup where they were in 1988 and in 90 and in 92, it's been 7 years since they were there. Curtis Nash and company can get there. With a sustained drive now, they've got some clock to kill to receive the punt from Rhea, and with that wind, it is short. It falls down around midfield. Nash taking it. No flag comes out for no yards. Nash, a good return along the sideline, and he gets about 10 or 15 more inside the Warrior 50 after a 31-yard punt. We'll be back. Big on Laval. That's the Churchill Bowl with John Wells and Glenn Sitter, and it's coming up in Saint-Paul, Quebec, immediately after this game, which is in the dying seconds. 1:46 on the clock. It's Husky football. They lost their first game of the season. They were 0-1. They have won 8 straight since and are on the verge of carrying on that winning streak to 9. That 9th straight win would push them into the national championship game next week at Skydome. Handing off, Dean Jones, left side, and he slowly baby steps his way along for about 3 or 4 yards. But they do keep it along the ground this time to see if they can kill some clock. It is stopped at 1:41.
And clock management becomes so important here. Ryan Jones, of course, is looking at the scoreboard, so he has the advantage of seeing the times in his face. He knows he has down up to 1:21 in which to snap the ball.
Jones on option. He keeps it. Gets close to a first down. What a big first down it would be. That was about 2nd and 7. Had to get it to the 32.5-yard line. Excuse me, 37.5. It's shy of that, though, by about a yard or two. So the punting unit will come on.
Yeah, that's a smart move. You got to pin Waterloo back in their own end, force them to drive the field. They probably only have about 1:05 left on the clock.
The Atlantic Conference has not been represented in the Vanier Cup since 1996 when it was St. FX there. Blake Nill's team back then was an assistant under John Stevens. Waterloo does take a timeout now. 1:14 on the clock.
And you know, there was time clicked off of that clock, by the way, and that's what Waterloo coaching staff is talking about, that before it was whistled in and Waterloo wanted the timeout, about 4 seconds ticked off the clock. I think there was 1:18 left. And he's saying put 4 seconds back on.
Chris Triantafillo, his 2nd year, just like Blake Nill, as the head coach of his team. Lost some close ones during the regular season. Ended up a disappointing 4-4 and made the playoffs in 4th place, but then knocked off Western in London. And then knocked off Laurier at both of the school's home fields in Kitchener. It still is 1:14 on the clock. A look at frustration on the sideline with Triantafillo.
Now you can see Waterloo are coming for the block.
Only one back, and that's Tibbetts. 11 up front, and coming now. Curry gets it away. Tibbetts takes it inside his 10. Needs a big return. Gets up, not bad, up around the 20. 1:03 to go. 90 yards away. The Warriors are. The story of the game. Wilkinson, not that great a day, passing those 3 interceptions.
No question. The 3 interceptions really hurt Waterloo today. Ryan Jones had a great afternoon. Didn't have to pass that much, but he was very effective, 160 yards passing. But still, the big surprise is St. Mary's out-rushing Waterloo, 224 to 212.
Waterloo had a chance to go up 14-0 way back in the first quarter. And a goal line stand back in that ended with an interception by Curtis Nash really changed this game. Under pressure is Wilkinson. Taken down is Wilkinson. Brad Chalmers in there. Matt Demers as well.
And it's such a difficult situation for a quarterback to be in, let alone a quarterback in a team that likes to run the football when you know that you have to throw the football to win right now.
Airing it out. Too far. Wanted Beckler. Nash was there. And the Warriors could be reduced to their final play. 49 seconds. Third down. St. Mary's can smell it. A trip back to Toronto. It's been 7 long years. And there's been heartbreak at the Vanier too. A loss to Queens in '92. And remember 1990, the way the decade began with a heartbreaking loss. Chris Flynn's final game when these St. Mary's Huskies were beat by Saskatchewan. One more time, Wilkinson. No. The Huskies are going to win this Atlantic Bowl.
And it's only fitting that Curtis Nash is the man who knocks it away. The smallest player on defense comes up with the biggest play for the Huskies this afternoon.
The interception he had in the end zone, as we alluded to before, in what looked to be all Waterloo momentum early in that game with their ball control. Curtis Nash at St. Mary's sideline starting to celebrate. Still 42 seconds left. Barring something catastrophic, though, these Huskies should be leaving their home field and packing their bags for Toronto. The Churchill Bowl is coming up immediately after this one. Saskatchewan and Laval. Could it be an all-Husky Vanier Cup as it was when the decade began? We'll find out. Coming up from Saint-Foy, Quebec. Although Saskatchewan will be facing a team that many, especially in the Ontario-Quebec Conference, say is one of the most powerful in years. That Laval team can really move the football. A strong offense.
Should be a great game. Larry Utek. Sure, feeling great satisfaction seeing his Huskies going back to the Vanier Cup.
What a great coach that he was too with these St. Mary's teams. Remember, he had Chris Flynn at quarterback, some exciting offensive teams especially.
You know, just a nice man. That's what I've always liked about Larry, just a nice guy.
Had a good CFL career as well, and certainly well known and respected in these parts. Not only because of sports and political life as well as a deputy mayor of Halifax. Went into the politics after stepping down from the coaching responsibilities. They can feel it now, and rightly so. They've got the ball. It's deep in Waterloo's end, and it's 42 ticks on the clock. St. Mary's, by the way, has won a Vanier Cup before, but you're going way back to the Bill Robinson days of 1973. They beat the McGill Redmen that year. The one St. Mary's National Championship. It looks like they'll get a chance to get number 2 next week. As Ryan Jones stands under center, Luis Perez turns, stays on his feet, coughs up the ball. It's Waterloo's. Chris Wolf has it. 35 seconds to go. They still have a long way to go, but I'm sure they never thought they'd even get another shot at a set of downs here. So,
boy, this just can't end quick enough for Blake Mill.
Been some tense moments.
I mean, this looked like it was going to be a touchdown run right here. Now think about it, St. Mary's, this is only the second fumble this year. And you can see Jason Tibbetts in there. Everybody's grabbing the ball and it pops out. And Chris Wolf comes up with it, number 41, the linebacker. But nonetheless, a lot of real estate for Waterloo to make up.
got my two guys and my two ends.
St. Mary's calls a timeout. Blake Neal wants to talk it over to make sure everybody's on the same page on defense. Doesn't want to have any breakdowns. There's only 35 seconds left. You can hear a pin drop in here now.
I was going to say, there's been quite a lull now. And even though it's still far deep in Waterloo territory, it's the fact that that fumble has just given a little bit of a chance here to Waterloo. The celebration has been put on hold momentarily because you never know. And Nil knows that. And one thing when we talked to him yesterday, Jamie, was acknowledging, sure, Waterloo runs that triple option very well, and sure, they're dangerous along the ground, but he saw what they could do with their deep routes last week against Laurier. Of course, that was in a much different situation. They'd be expecting it now. Looking to finish it off. And then get on a plane on Wednesday, head to Toronto. Get set for a national championship game against Saskatchewan or Laval. That one remains to be seen. This one is almost in the books, but there's still a slight opening with 35 seconds to go. Wilkinson passing. Krebick catches it back. It's fumbled. Who touched it last? It goes out of bounds. Waterloo ball still close to a first down.
The old hook and ladder.
Worked well for the Miami Dolphins
Sure
years
did.
ago against San Diego. Duriel Harris to Tony Nathan, as I recall, from Don Strockman. Little
Timed
pitch
it
back.
up well. Just couldn't get on the handle, but that was a smart play. Try and get the ball in Mike Bradley's hands. 29 seconds remaining.
You get the ball in Mike Bradley's hands and he gets outside, and you've got a tie game.
You got a chance.
Because he can run with anyone. Well, that's another story, getting him in that situation. Here on second down. Krebick picked off. No, drop. He's close for Michael Crooks, right in his hands, and that could have ended things. As it stands, though, it's a third down. And enough time, obviously, with 24 seconds to run more than one play. But first, Waterloo has to get that first down. So it's kind of an interesting scenario. Do you go very quickly for something short and then renew for 3 more tries, or do you just haul off right now and see if you can get it?
No, I think you get the first down real quick. You may only have to burn off 1 or 2 seconds off the clock, 2 seconds off the clock, a quick out. But he can't run the ball. They're out of timeouts right now.
Look for something short and quick to the sidelines to renew. Or on the ground, as they do. And will the clock keep counting now? 19? No, it stops.
Well, I'm a little amazed at the call because, you know, St. Mary's corners are backed off 25 yards. I mean, you can just throw the hitch out there and get the first down and get out of bounds. But they got to get right up over the ball. But it looks like unless they had one timeout left. I thought they were through. I thought they used one earlier in the half.
19 seconds showing. And a very long and drawn-out final minute of this Atlantic Bowl. What has been an entertaining game in all aspects. Through the air, certainly. A lot of it was a running game early on. Blake Neal.
Our rush lane and squeeze tackles play straight up.
The Churchill Bowl is next. Saint-Foy, Quebec, Laval Rouge et Or, and the Saskatchewan Huskies. One of the newcomers to the CIAU against a long and established and the most successful team bar none. No matter what happens this year, the Saskatchewan Huskies have been the team of the 90s and looking to put a nice little icing on the cake, if you will, if they can win a 4th national championship in this decade. Winning already in 90 and 96, 98.
Now they'd be the first team to go to win back-to-back championships.
Since Western Mustangs 76 and 77?
That's right.
Who was their quarterback?
I wonder who that guy was.
We'll have to look that up. On first down, 15 seconds. This should be intercepted, except there were 2 Huskies going for it, and they bumped into each other. Sean Mifflin and Arruda, and they just can't seem to end this game because that would have done it as well. 11 seconds on the clock, and Waterloo still has a little bit of a life, just a little bit there through the door.
Well, they're trying to run Chris Krivich on a post and then wheel Mike Bradley out of the backfield and try and get him up the sidelines, but You know, right now when you're backed off 25 yards, your corners, your safety, everybody's deep. Oh, he's feeling better. Smile and a little sigh of relief. 11 seconds left.
Up and down, and 4 ticks on the clock.
And, you know, even there on that play, you know, the 2 defenders went down, they knocked the ball away, but Krivitz was still on his feet. I mean, you've got to play everything from on top. Don't let him get deep on you at all.
So I think we can safely say now.
Yeah, they both go up for it. They go down. If he's behind, I mean, if he catches the ball, that's 6 points. I mean, that's too close.
Stranger things have happened. I think we can safely say now, 4 seconds left, and a 3rd down for Waterloo. Barring penalty, the final play of the Atlantic Bowl.
So
Barring touchdown, I should say.
I tell my corners right now, you're back at midfield.
Lay off for about 40 yards. Give them anything underneath.
Absolutely.
This will be it. They run a toss to Bradley. Mike Bradley still on his feet. They fired a cannon, and now it's over. The Warriors have met their Waterloo in St. Mary's, and the Huskies are Vanier Cup bound for the first time in 7 years.
So well.
And there is the Robert L. Stanfield Trophy for the Atlantic Bowl champion Huskies. Now down to Alex J. Walling.
All right, thanks, Gerard. I have got the MVP of the game, number 22, Dean Jones. Obviously delighted, but I want to hear it in your own words.
Oh, my God, this is the best feeling I've ever had. I don't know how deserving I am of this reward. I think it should go to the whole defense. They played their guts out today. Our whole line played great. We're going to Toronto. This is just a great feeling.